Part 215. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2145. It can be seen from the above arguments. In the entire battlefield, when it comes to which strong men are least anxious and fearless, they are the peak mid-level galactic beings on both sides. Before, our mail receiving machine reported that a commander-in-chief was coming, but I didn't even pay attention to take a closer look. This must be a black sheep. Well, the black sheep is quite good. Although we don't like him very much, this guy has such commanding ability. In war, personal bravery comes second. The key lies in overall planning ability. The middle-level peaks of the two galaxies, within the black fog of command, have long been unwavering in hearing the sounds of fighting from the outside world. But not long after they listened, they discovered that earth-shaking exclamations suddenly rang out from the outside world, and there were the battle sounds of strong men clashing, and then there was silence. Huh? What's wrong? Is there a fight outside? Who dares to fight without our orders? Why is there still silence after this beating? What's going on? In order to prevent outside sounds from affecting them, the two top mid-level experts in the galaxy modified the black mist they arranged. In this black mist, even their own brainwave power was difficult to release. It is naturally more difficult for the outside world to spy in, so they have a very private privacy space. But the consequence of this is that it is difficult for them to hear the movements of the outside world. They even have to use their brainwave power to transmit it and know what is happening in the outside world. The strong men at the top of the two middle-level galaxies quickly released their power. Then, they reacted like the silent outside world. Because where there were so many powerful enemies fighting just now, a huge mosquito-like creature appeared in the center of the battlefield. And all around him, there were a large group of corpses of biological powerhouses, including two primary powerhouses from the galaxy who were in charge during the battle. Did he do this? This. The two top mid-level experts in the galaxy gasped instantly when they saw this situation. Obviously, this should be a strong man from their own side, but this strong man looks familiar to them, but they can't tell his name at the moment. Perceiving his strength, he was quite impressive. He hid his own strength, and even the two of them were a little unsure of what his strength was. It's a bit like a middle-level star in the galaxy. It's probably the most powerful existence in the middle-level star in their impression. The question is, how dare this guy kill so many strong men from the other side in full view of everyone? You bastard Zerg Queen! How dare you kill my galaxy-level force? Die! The middle-level peak experts in the two major galaxies had just released their power. At the same moment when they saw the situation outside, they only felt the existence of a force that was not weaker than theirs. In an instant, it surged out from the enemy's rear position. And then reached the side of the giant mosquito that killed a group of powerful enemies. This is a strong man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, taking action against this strong man in the Zerg Queen's force. It's all said and done, it's just a provocation, but he actually starts killing. To the enemy, this is like a direct sneak attack, or a sneak attack in the face in full view of the public, and they must retaliate. Whether he is our strong man or not, we must stop him. Quick! That's too late. The expressions on the faces of these two middle-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy changed wildly. They quickly released their brainwave power. Unfortunately, the two of them realized it was too late. The enemies had already begun to attack. Or were the mid-level peak powerhouses of the galaxy at the same level as them, who had time to rescue them? At this moment, all the experts from both sides watching the battle had different expressions. On the side of the Zerg Queen's forces, every strong man and soldier was extremely surprised, but a little bit unable to take it. They had just seen the giant mosquito-like creature suddenly rush out from the subspace and kill two primary-level galactic warriors in an instant. It must be an intermediate-level galactic being, although there were quite a few of them. He looked familiar, but at this moment, not many people recognized who he was. But no one is important anymore. The enemy's strong man at the middle level of the galaxy actually takes action himself. This giant mosquito strongman will definitely be in danger of his life. On the other side of the enemy, they were burning with anger, and every strong man was silently excited in their hearts, because they wanted to see this strong man from the Zerg Queen's force die immediately. It's just a provocation, how can we take action directly? No matter where you say this, it makes no sense. Everyone, including the two peak mid-level galaxy powerhouses who were too late to take action, believed that it was too late for this mid-level galaxy powerhouse. The question was whether he would be seriously injured or die. Can he withstand a mid-level galaxy powerhouse? If a top-level strongman attacks him, he can still be saved. If he can't withstand it, he will be hopeless. The gap between the peak of the intermediate galaxy and the intermediate galaxy is clear to everyone after this war. To put it bluntly, it is like a huge gap between two major levels. It's very difficult to block it. But at the same moment when the giant mosquito creature attacked the enemy, the strong man at the middle level of the galaxy, he turned his head calmly and did not choose to escape. Instead, he lightly released a wave of brainwave power. You actually want to block it? A mid-level galaxy existence wants to block me? Ha ha ha. If you really want to die, then die. The enemy's strong man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy spit out his brainwave power even more fiercely in an instant. For a moment, everyone thought that this middle-level giant mosquito strongman of the galaxy, it's definitely going to die. Boom. The whole world trembled. The strong Zerg Queen, who is at the top of the middle level of the two galaxies, has a slightly gloomy expression. He was dead, and there was definitely no way to save him. The guy on the other side, who was at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, actually deliberately used nearly all-out attacks. He could see that this strong man who had just arrived at the top of the middle level of the galaxy was a person who could change a wide range of things. The strong man who wins and loses wars, so he kills. If killed, the new big killer from their Zerg Queen force would definitely be eliminated at the stage when he was just about to shine. But at the moment when they all thought so, the enemy's peak mid-level galaxy powerhouse, who released the power of his brainwaves and attacked the galaxy intermediate giant mosquito with all his strength, was startled. Then, the strong men on the Zerg Queen's side were all stunned. Those who were not weak among them all saw clearly that under the brainwave power released by the mid-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy, the giant mosquito creature lightly revealed its own brainwave power, and suddenly resisted the opponent's attack. This. How can it be? All the creatures present on both sides, including the two top mid-level galactic queens, were completely confused. Because even they couldn't understand the situation for a while. This, star, the middle-level peak of the galaxy? When did we have an additional middle-level peak of the galaxy here? This figure from behind is. Ah, I remember, he is Jia Yan? But he seemed to have died in an enemy sneak attack 2 years ago. The two strong men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy were suddenly shocked, and then they were ecstatic. The existence of this middle-level pinnacle of the galaxy is a timely blessing in this war. Even though their lives have never been in danger, for them, it is extremely ugly for the war to be like this. Everyone is blaming them for their incompetence. That would be great. There is actually a strong person who is at the top of the middle level of the galaxy. No matter he is Jia Yan or someone else, in short, if there is a strong person at the middle level of the galaxy, then he is the biggest partner to share their pressure. Moreover, it seems that there have been rumors before that Jia Yan and Black Sheep are not dealing with each other. The relationship between the two of them and Black Sheep is not that good, so they can be regarded as having certain common interests with Jia Yan. Ha ha ha, brother Jia Yan, it turns out to be you. Good brother, why didn't someone come to notify you when you came? You actually came like this, which shocked both brothers. The two strong men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy naturally flew out of the black mist formation quickly, and then came to Jia Yan's side. Hello, seniors, we meet again. Jia Yan naturally knows the two of them. After all, he has been in the Zerg Queen's force for so many years. There have been certain conversations between the three parties in the past. Of course, the relationship between them was not that good. The gap is really too big. Don't call me senior. I didn't expect Brother Jia Yan to have cultivated to the middle level of the galaxy. In this case, we should follow the rules and treat each other as equals. That's right, Brother Jia Yan, it would be bad if you are too exposed. Haha, Her Majesty the Queen must have asked you to come to support, right? I didn't expect that my brother would perform such a show when he came here. It's surprising. When the two powerhouses at the top of the middle level of the galaxy were talking to Jia Yan, a large number of powerhouses at the top of the middle level of the galaxy also emerged from the enemy's side. Every strong person emerged from their black mist formation, and then their expressions were extremely ugly. They knew that what was coming should be a peak mid-level star from the Zerg Queen's force, or a peak mid-level star from the galaxy whose face they had never seen before. To them, it was like they suddenly knew that they had more. Like an enemy. The only possible good news is that this strong man is as powerful as the other three mid-level peak powerhouses of the Zerg Queen galaxy. If he cannot jump to the next level to fight, then he will send a mid-level peak powerhouse from the galaxy. Just go out and fight him. The most fearful thing is that he is a strong man with good fighting ability, just like Black Sheep and the others. Humph, the three people opposite, don't be too happy. We haven't explained what happened just now. The middle-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy who had just started fighting Jia Yan suddenly shouted coldly, stopping Jia Yan from talking with the two top middle-level powerhouses in the galaxy. That's right, three of you, if you want to win over the parents, you can change the time. But what happened just now needs to be explained to us. This new mid-level peak being in the galaxy actually killed him without saying a word. There are so many of us strong men who are just trying to fight, so this cannot be justified. Don't you people from the Zerg Queen's force not understand the truth? If you can do such uncivilized things, no wonder you are a country bumpkin from a backward place. If we can't give an explanation, then we can't tell today. A war will break out between the peaks of the middle-level galaxies. When it comes to the domain master creatures, we are also justified. If you want to make up for it, you have to give up 5 billion kilometers of starry sky to us, immediately. One by one, strong men at the top of the mid-level galaxy walked out of the position with the intention of asking the Zerg Queen to make concessions to them because of this matter. Even if they now know that the person who just attacked was a strong man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, it is almost impossible to kill him, but they can still use Jia Yan to kill the group of creatures just now as an excuse to make the Zerg Queen give in. This is the wisdom on the battlefield. Even a mistake made by the enemy's mid-level peak powerhouse can lead to huge progress in the entire battle situation. Give up 50 billion kilometers of position? Doesn't this mean that we are required to give up this section of the front? Over there, Jia Yan smiled slightly and stopped the strong men at the top of the two middle-level galaxies from trying to speak with ugly expressions. Instead, he spoke leisurely. But at the same time, two powerful men at the top of the middle-level galaxy released their brainwave power dialogue to Jia Yan in a somewhat blaming manner. Jia Yan, you are a little impulsive in this matter. If you had come just now and not killed so many enemy challengers, we would definitely have a chance to counter-attack immediately. Yes, Jia Yan, with this move of yours, they have gained the initiative. We are going to retreat, so this retreat will make it impossible to win back the battle line in the future. 50 billion, there are still many resources within kilometers that we have not yet obtained. The two strong men at the top of the middle-level galaxy did not express their hostility towards Jia Yan, because they had nothing to say. Jia Yan must have just been promoted not long ago, and may even be a strong man who temporarily came to the line of fire, so they don't understand the etiquette on the battlefield, but it is very easy for them to understand. If it were themselves, they had just been promoted to the top of the middle level of the galaxy, and they had changed from the original chess pieces to the main role in leading the war. They might also want to have such a big show in front of all the strong players on the front. The strong men at the top of the middle level of the two galaxies were extremely helpless. At this moment, the enemy seized the opportunity, and it was very embarrassing whether to retreat or not. After all, if they retreat, they will give up a large area of the front line for no reason, which may even lead to the destruction of a large number of our troops. This is too much for them and also a huge responsibility. But if you don't retreat, it's unreasonable for your side. The enemy will definitely have a battle with them on the middle level peak of the galaxy. After a battle, there will definitely be no sound. At most, it will be a strong middle level peak of the galaxy. Just a little injured. But what happens next will definitely be brought to the attention of the territory lord. Even the Zerg Queen will not be able to reason with her and will fall into a passive position. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2146. Jia Yan's impulsiveness caused huge problems for the entire front. The two of them would not say anything about Jia Yan. After all, he was as strong as them. I believe that even the Queen of the Zerg would be willing to pay the price of an entire battle line in exchange for the loyalty of a peak mid-level star in the galaxy. He. When everyone's attention was focused on Jia Yan, the giant mosquito suddenly laughed. He smiled heartlessly, and seeing the existence of the two middle-level peaks of the galaxy, they all felt a little bit unhappy about this giant mosquito for no reason. Everyone is in a difficult decision-making situation because of your mistakes. You are the initiator, but you are still smiling so happily? Don't you think your brain is rusty? The perception of these two middle-level galactic experts towards Jia Yan suddenly dropped by several levels. I originally thought that since they were already at the top of the galaxy intermediate level, they could move around and drag Jia Yan to their camp in the future, so that they would be able to fight against Black Sheep's power. Of course, if Black Sheep was successfully promoted, he would treat it as if he hadn't said it before. After all, no matter how courageous he was to fight against a domain lord creature, he wouldn't dare to do it. It was just Jia Yan's inexplicable smile that made him give up. Jia Yan? Is it him? At the same moment, a group of middle-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy on the opposite side, through the chat between two of them, all knew Jia Yan's name, and they immediately realized that the powerhouses of their group had been to a certain place. At that time, it was said that the genius of a Zerg Queen was sneak attacked and killed. The name mentioned at that time was Jia Yan. It turned out that he was not dead, and was actually promoted to the top of the middle level of the galaxy by this guy. Okay, Your Excellency Jia Yan, why are you laughing? Are you mocking me? This is even more unforgivable. One of the middle-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy snorted coldly at Jia Yan with an extremely ugly face. To be honest, he was one of the people who attacked Jia Yan. Now seeing this guy appear again, he is extremely disgusted. It's like they did the mission and said it was done when they came back, but in fact, this guy, he swaggers again and appears in front of everyone with improved strength. Do you think he is disgusting? It's as disgusting as eating a bug. Jia Yan suddenly shifted his gaze to the strong man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, and his cold eyes flashed past him. He recognized that the powerful man who spoke at the top of the middle level of the galaxy was one of the beings who had attacked him and had sneaked into the top of the middle level of the galaxy. But even if he recognized them, he just stared at them fiercely. Jia Yan knew that there were too many enemy soldiers, and if he wanted to take revenge, he would not be able to do so for a while. He just stopped smiling, and then, facing the puzzled looks from either our side or the enemy, he continued to explain his reasons for doing so. If he was just an ordinary strong man, even if he was a peak mid-level star in the galaxy, he would have been pursued by the enemy to explain the matter of deliberately killing two primary strong men in the galaxy just now. But what if his status is unusual? Everyone, please allow me to introduce myself. I am now the Commander-in-Chief of the Zerg Queen's War, that is, the highest level of all fronts. If you don't believe it, you can find out the answer through various channels. Commander-in-Chief, I just came here to report today, but you and other two major forces actually dared to provoke and besiege me at the gate of our headquarters when I just came to take office. For you, can you bear it? Are you looking down on our entire force? As the Commander-in-Chief, my face is the face of the Zerg Queen, and also the face of the entire Zerg Queen force, but you actually did this on the day I took office. You said, should we take action? Jia Yan's cold voice spread to all directions in this land of starry sky, and all the creatures who heard it looked at each other in confusion. What? What the hell? You are the new Commander-in-Chief of the Zerg Queen's forces? How is that possible? Isn't the Commander-in-Chief of the Zerg Queen's forces always a black sheep? When did he become you? That's right, the Queen of the Zerg is not an old fool, no, she is not that kind of unwise master. Why would you appoint someone who was obviously just promoted as the Commander-in-Chief? The two powerful men over there are not good options. Really? You must be making excuses. After listening to Jia Yan's statement, none of the creatures at the top of the 6 middle-level galaxies on the opposite side were willing to admit Jia Yan's words. Jia Yan, however, had a good time and calmly watched the accusations made by these creatures against him. Even the creatures at the top of the 2 middle-level galaxies around him had some disbelief in him, and then he spoke calmly. Yes or no, this kind of thing is too easy to investigate. How dare I talk nonsense in such a situation? As for you, why can I become the war commander of the Zerg Queen's forces? Ha ha ha, it's too simple. Yes, I defeated the black sheep, it's that simple. Impossible. When Jia Yan said the above words, the first person to deny it was a powerful Zerg Queen next to him who was at the top of the middle level of the galaxy. As one of the 3 former Zerg Queen power giants, no one understands Black Sheep's combat effectiveness better than these 2 mid-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy. Although the 2 of them are not far behind Black Sheep, there is almost no possibility of catching up with Black Sheep. As for a mid-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy who has just been promoted not long ago, let alone defeating Black Sheep, even if he can withstand Black Sheep's 2 moves, there is not much possibility. The greatest possibility is to be defeated with 1 blow, let alone talent. What's more, the 2 major talents of Black Sheep are also first-class talent masters. They don't believe that any genius can resist Black Sheep's strength just after being promoted to the top of the intermediate galaxy. Jia Yan was not surprised that these 2 fellow friends at the top of the middle level of the galaxy also had doubts about himself. Although they have no dealings with Black Sheep, they are the ones who understand Black Sheep best. In fact, even Jia Yan himself did not think that what had happened before was victory, but victory was victory. How could anyone dare to question what the Zerg Queen said in person? The relationship between him and Black Sheep is already extremely bad. Speaking of this in front of so many powerful enemies and ourselves can be regarded as tarnishing Black Sheep. For Jia Yan, this is also a kind of the thrill of revenge. Yes or no, I have already said that I cannot make rumors about this kind of thing, and making such rumors will not do me any good. So at the moment, you only need to tell me that as a war commander-in-chief, when you see an enemy standing in front of your command department on your first day, you think, what should I do? Do you think I should just pretend that I didn't see it? Sneak into the headquarters and then announce that I, the new officer, have arrived? You think, if I do that, who will think highly of me? When Jia Yan said the next part, He already had a somewhat angry tone. Well, this seems to make some sense. If it were our forces, and a war commander-in-chief came, and the enemy's minions were so provocative at our doorstep, we would also be angry. This, in short, it has not been proven that he is the new commander-in-chief of the Zerg Queen. Don't be fooled by him. Yes, the first thing you need to know is whether he is the new commander-in-chief of the Zerg Queen, and has he defeated the Black Sheep? The more I hear this, the more impossible it becomes. One by one, strong men from the enemy forces began to hesitate towards Jia Yan's words. Especially when it was mentioned that he had defeated the powerful Black Sheep, most of them looked at Jia Yan with doubts and a hint of fear. If you can defeat the Black Sheep, that will be great. Although Black Sheep has some secret connections with these two major forces, he is also their biggest enemy. Among the mid-level peaks of the galaxy he has killed, one is his contribution to the record. To Black Sheep, it can be said to be both hateful and fearful. Now, there is actually another strong man from the Zerg Queen's force who claims to have defeated the Black Sheep. Generally speaking, on such an occasion, a strong man who has reached the peak of the middle-level galaxy will not lie about this kind of thing. That is to say, it is possible that this big mosquito named Jia Long can actually defeat the Black Sheep in some way. No matter what method he uses, or even whether he is stronger than Black Sheep, being able to do this means that Jia Yan must be as strong as Black Sheep. This shows that in the future, they will encounter in this war another, astonishing existence comparable to the Black Sheep. This is so depressing. The only good news is that this creature definitely cannot have the war command ability of a Black Sheep. Otherwise, the Zerg Queen would not have used Jia Yan before, but waited until this time to push Jia Yan, who has been promoted to strength. He was on the front line of fire and appointed as the commander-in-chief of the war. He was probably just asked to assist the top mid-level powerhouses of the two galaxies. Also, if there is no one at the top of the three major galaxies whose war command ability is extremely outstanding, whoever is appointed as the so-called commander-in-chief is just a title, and it will not surprise anyone. Humph, in short, Your Excellency Jia Yan, we will immediately start investigating whether you are the commander-in-chief of the war. If our investigation is false, please believe that we have the ability to make you pay the price. Yes, but if you were the commander-in-chief, we would apologize to you for what happened just now. The strong men at the peak of the middle level of the 6 galaxies decided on the tone of this matter after discussing it secretly. That is to investigate for the time being. After all, if Jia Yan is really the commander-in-chief, and his strength is indeed at the level of a Black Sheep, then this matter really needs to be considered in the long term. Okay, then I would like to thank you sirs for giving me this face. Also, today is the day when I come to take office. How about we have a truce for 3 days? Jia Yan nodded and told the other party about it. He said this as a war commander, and the enemy really had to consider it, because he had just joined the post. Even if there would still be wars in the future, in this case, the face between them at the top of the middle-level galaxy would not matter to each other. You still have to give it, otherwise in the future, as a strong man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, there are many ways to take revenge on the enemy's strong man. Okay, as you said, we will have a temporary truce for 3 days. Thank you sirs. After hearing that the other party agreed to his request, Jia Yan smiled slightly and thanked him. This is the enemy's respect for the commander-in-chief of the opposite side. It also explains many things. For example, in this war, the two sides did not fight to the point of destroying the other side, nor did it reach the so-called level of defeat, etc. After all, in a life-and-death situation, who would give face to the commander-in-chief of the other party? Buzz. Jia Yan used his brainwave power to create a large hole in the black mist, and Jia Yan stepped into it. The two powerful men at the middle level of the galaxy behind them looked at each other, their eyes a little thoughtful and dignified, and followed Jia Yan into the black mist formation. Let's go back to According to what the other party said, within 3 days, the entire front will cease fighting for 3 days. Violators will be dealt with according to military law. Yes. At this moment, the enemy's strong men at the top of the middle ranks of the 6 galaxies directly issued orders to follow Jia Yan's words. This is the face of a strong man, and even more so the face of a commander-in-chief of war. Of course, everything can only be carried out after they have investigated clearly and found out that Jia Yan is really the commander-in-chief of war. If knowing that he was lying about everything, the problem would be huge. Maybe the enemy forces would use this as a reason to force the Zerg Queen's forces to retreat tens of billions of kilometers. Your Excellency Jia Yan, is everything you just said true? Just after entering the black mist position of the Zerg Queen's forces, and the outside sounds were suddenly cut off, the strong men at the top of the 2 middle-level galaxies immediately questioned Jia Yan. They had not interrupted Jia Yan's performance just now because in the eyes of outsiders, they did not want to leave them with a feeling of strife among the 3 mid-level peak powerhouses in the Zerg Queen's power, but after returning to their own power, then asked carefully. Whether it was the matter of the commander-in-chief of the war or Jia Yan's victory over Black Sheep, it was a big deal for them. If there was any possibility of nonsense, they would not accept Jia Yan. You too, I thought you knew about me, but I shouldn't. It shouldn't take too long for things in the energy circle to reach you. Could it be that you haven't read the information? Jia Yan was also startled. He thought that these 2 powerful men had been pretending not to recognize him before. Is that so? The battle pressure on our side has been relatively high recently, so we don't have time to read the information. The 2 powerhouses at the top of the mid-level galaxy were a little embarrassed. To be honest, they had never looked at the intelligence from the center of the Zerg Queen's power, so after being reminded by Jia Yan, they quickly opened the intelligence brain. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2147. After quietly observing for a while, the expressions on the faces of the 2 middle-level peak powerhouses of the galaxy who had browsed through their brains became increasingly weird. Then, one of them shut down his brain first. Your Excellency Jia Yan, I have read the information. It seems that I have misunderstood you. It turns out that you are really our new commander-in-chief. In addition, you really defeated Black Sheep. Of course, this is a small victory. Yeah, hee. It's amazing. Although it's a small victory, after all, even if we win, we may not be able to do it. Another strong man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy also put down the Ji now in his hand with a sigh on his face. The 3 top middle level experts in the galaxy have been fighting openly and secretly for many years. They always thought that the central figure in this battle between the 3 giants was just the stage for the 3 of them. Unexpectedly, a newcomer suddenly appeared. In an instant, the Black Sheep who was a key figure was unseated. He even achieved the position of commander-in-chief all of a sudden. How can this make them not feel sad? However, these 2 have nothing to be jealous of. After all, if they really want this position, they can apply for it anytime and anywhere. The only reason why they did not apply is that they feel that they are not qualified enough. In terms of commanding ability, they are inferior to Black Sheep is very different. This Jia Yan wants the position of commander-in-chief. Presumably the Queen of the Zerg just doesn't want this position to be vacant. It's better to have someone occupying this position than the enemy laughing at you for not having a commander-in-chief. No, you 2 are my seniors. I have a lot to learn from you. Our status is naturally equal. Jia Yan is not arrogant. He knows best what his status is like. Okay, let's not say so much. If we continue to be polite, then this battle will not go on. Okay, let's talk about the war. The two middle-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy are also open-minded people. What's more, they don't care about the position of commander-in-chief, so they don't have the slightest feeling of jealousy towards Jia Yan, the nominal leader, because they even if Jia Yan wants to seize power, he can't take it away. Since you two are so dedicated, let's talk about war. Jia Yan was worried about how to communicate with them. They wanted to talk better. As a result, three powerful men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy held war negotiations in this land of black mist. Not long after, Jia Yan said that he had really learned a lot. After all, he doesn't have much experience in how to lead a battle between equals in the starry sky, or even a battle where both sides are at a certain disadvantage compared to each other. At least compared to the two peak mid-level galactic powerhouses in front of him, he belongs to brother level. He began to understand, on this kind of battlefield, how to correctly allocate powerful teams and how to contain them, so as to achieve the effect of defeating more with less, or containing the most with less. Fortunately, it is not that Jia Yan has no experience at all, but that he has a lot of experience in commanding operations within the Orion arm. In some aspects, it can also give a certain level of strength to the strong men at the top of the middle level of the two galaxies. Inspiring meaning. The three parties chatted for a long time, even for 3 or 4 days. In the past 3 or 4 days, Jia Yan came up with a way, which was to let the outside fighting team pretend to be a cleansing force for him. He even asked the spies to deliberately spread the information, saying that there was a trace of discord among the powerful men at the top of the three major galaxies after Jia Yan arrived. In this way, the enemy will start to laugh, instead of forcing him to fight every day like before. After all, a new war commander has arrived on the Zerg Queen's front. This will definitely be a big change for everyone. It doesn't matter whether there will be good or bad changes on the Zerg Queen's front. There will definitely be changes in the beginning, and this is the best opportunity for the enemy to take advantage of. They have not started to attack, but they are preparing to attack. But these enemy bosses didn't know that Jia Yan needed exactly this time. Every minute is precious, and every second needs to be fought for. I used the gimmick I came to create the effect of slowing down the enemy's offensive for a few days. It was the best for the entire war. Of utilization time. Jia Yan explained this to the strong men at the top of the two middle-level galaxies inside the battle line. He has quickly fallen into his role. Originally, Jia Yan had good overall command capabilities, otherwise he would not have led the Orion arm to defeat the powerful enemy forces back then. At this time, combined with the experience taught by two other mid-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy, and reading a lot of books and textbooks on the classic battles in the center of the galaxy, his theoretical knowledge and experience have been fully transformed into practical applications, and he can often make correct decisions. Judge. Yes, you have fought for several days alone, which is valuable to our entire front. Beside Jia Yan, the two peak mid-level galactic experts who were analyzing with him looked at each other with the word convinced written in their eyes. They were not convinced of Jia Yan earlier, not only in terms of combat effectiveness, but also in his commanding ability. They even thought that they would fight this war on their own, and Jia Yan would just give him a less important front. But what he never expected was that after Jia Yan caused the enemy to slow down their offensive on the first day, suspicious formations appeared frequently, causing the opponent's misjudgment and delaying the fighting situation for several days. Perhaps the current enemy is waiting for the Zerg Queen's power front to cause internal trouble, right? In fact, according to their idea of letting Jia Yan command an unimportant branch line, there will definitely be trouble if they do this. After all, how can a new commander-in-chief who has just arrived be willing to do that kind of thing? If there is an open and secret fight, it will be troublesome. Fortunately, the sharpness shown by Jia Yan made them quickly realize that it was wrong to do so, gave Jia Yan real power, and according to his words, created a suspicious formation for the enemy. Haha, two seniors, this art of war is called Sun Tzu's art of war on my home planet. Next time I have a chance, I will translate this book for you two to read. Sun Tzu's art of war? That's very good. Also, Jia Yan, you don't have to be too polite. Although we used to be your seniors, now you are at the same level of strength as us, so there is no need to call us seniors anymore. How can this be done? I respect the two seniors from the bottom of my heart. Jia Yan's friendship with the two top mid-level powerhouses in the galaxy was actually quite good. This is also the acquiescence result of both parties. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. The discord between Jia Yan and Black Sheep has been known to everyone for a long time. This time, he took the initiative to knock on the door and humiliated Black Sheep. Two strong men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, and although the relationship between the Black Sheeps is not at this level, they have discussed each other countless times, and both sides have fallen into disgrace countless times. Therefore, they have a tacit understanding with Jia Yan and have formed an alliance without verbal commitment. In this way, as you and I agree, the conversation becomes a happy one. Okay, two seniors, although I have successfully made the enemy suspicious and stopped fighting for a few days, they will definitely not be idle. Every action in the past few days has the feeling of a large-scale attack on us. In this case, if we are unable to block their attack, our previous approach is likely to cause greater losses and turn into a dog that cannot be painted like a tiger. Jia Yan opened his brain and discussed the summary of the war with the two powerful men and how to arrange the battle plan now. In fact, he didn't know that he actually had good expertise in this area. Of course, the two strong men at the top of the middle-level galaxy are also good. The three strong men at the top of the middle-level galaxy have worked together to discuss the war. This is the first time among the Zerg Queen's power. The previous Black Sheep could not do this. Even if he could command the two top mid-level powerhouses in the galaxy to some extent, he would not fully believe that the two powerhouses might even destroy his position in the Zerg Queen's power. Because of her position, she deliberately defeated some less critical battles. Therefore, among the entire Zerg Queen's forces, no one knew what kind of energy would be unleashed by three powerful men at the top of the mid-level galaxy working together. This time it was different. The three top mid-level experts in the galaxy gradually worked together because they had a common enemy and common interests. Haha, this is a good strategy. Jia Yan, I can't see it. You can actually think of this strategy. In this way, the three of us can form the power of horns. Not bad, not bad. In the past, our wars were at best the middle-level peaks of the two galaxies form the shape of horns, and now you can see that the strongest thing in the world is really a triangle. A strong man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy looked overjoyed after watching Jia Yan's last point on the brain screen. In this way, it will be a big help to the two seniors. I hope we can get off to a winning start. There's no need to work or not, we'll go over there. Two strong men at the peak of the middle level of the galaxy, one behind the other, quietly used their own concealment methods from the hiding place behind the mist, and left quietly. Jia Yan himself was sitting in the middle, waiting for the enemy's attack. Are you leaving? This battle has taught me a lot about war. Jia Yan watched the friends at the top of the two middle-level galaxies leave, and his expression returned to the ancient well. In fact, just like the expression he showed, winning or losing this war has nothing to do with Jia Yan. Whether he loses or wins, he has already made plans to get a wave of Zerg Queen forces. The commission or salary will leave this starry sky. Black Sheep's strength exceeded Jia Yan's imagination, so he was ready to avoid it for the time being. But before escaping, you must receive a wave of rewards, and even send the Zerg Queen's forces to the next location. With his current status as the commander-in-chief of the war, as long as he does not perform too badly, no matter whether the war is fought beautifully or not, Jia Yan believes that a strong person with the methods of the Zerg Queen will not refuse to give him a commission. Even the commission will not be small. After all, no matter what he says, he is still the nominal commander-in-chief. If he wants Jia Yan to continue working in the future, how can he be stingy with money? Of course, it is best to fight well, but it is unlikely. If the front line does not collapse, it will be good for the Zerg Queen to harvest a wave of the rear. These two powerful men seem to have a good relationship with me, but in fact it is not that simple. In the heart of a strong man, the most important thing is only himself. Even if they seem to be close friends, they can face the conflict of interests. When we fight, we will still fight. Jia Yanman is clear. The friendship and alliance between the three parties is just the current situation. One day, for the sake of profit, these two strong men will still attack themselves like black sheep. So everything still depends on yourself. Of course, we are indeed joining forces now, and the war plan drawn up by the three of us is indeed good. Is this the first three-level intergalactic peak battle plan? Haha, I want to see if it is really as effective as we planned. The Trinity battle plan was thought up by Jia Yan, but it was the three of them who perfected it. Jia Yan did not mean to take the first credit, which made it clear that the credit would be shared equally among the three in the future. Those two guys will definitely try their best to take action. After all, they are strong men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy. It is impossible to die in this kind of war. It is good to have the gimmick of the winner of the war. Your Excellency, Commander-in-Chief, we. After the two top mid-level galactic powerhouses had left for a long time, Jia Yan announced this news to the slightly higher-ranking officers below, causing several mid-level galactic powerhouses to immediately arrive with them. A small group of primary beings from the galaxy came to Jia Yan's office in the Black Mist formation. I already know what you want to say. In short, the three of us have no disagreement at all. As for what the two of them are going to do, I can't say for the time being. You just need to understand that you can find the future of Shiyuan during the day, you follow my command. If you can't do it, I will execute the power of the Commander-in-Chief on the spot, detain you or even kill you, and no one will say anything, do you understand? Got it? Jia Yan's outspoken speaking style made the group of galaxy-level powerhouses who came to stay silent. They didn't even dare to ask whether the top 9 powerhouses in the two galaxies were driven away by Jia Yan's anger, or whether Zhen started cooperation with Jia Yan. If you think about it carefully, it is unlikely that you will run away because the central position has been managed by the two mid-level peak powerhouses of the galaxy for a long time. If you really want to run away, it will be Jia Yan who will be run away. Presumably these two adults should not do it. Just use your anger as a child. In this way, after thinking about it for a group of galaxy level, Jia Yan strictly asked not to reveal the information about the departure of the two top mid-level galaxy powerhouses, because this is a secret, and only the galaxy-level powerhouses can. You know, when the next battle comes, the enemy will surely have a small surprise. After everyone responded, Jia Yan asked them to leave. Adisha, you are Zhineo, can you calculate the probability of success in our battle? Okay, Adisha can count on it. Jia Yan had just finished his conversation with a group of galaxy-level creatures, and immediately let Adisha's light and shadow body fly out, and then asked. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2148. Master, I'm pretty sure. This victory rate is still over 60%. Well, 60%, that's enough risk. Even if we can't win, it still buys more time for the search at the rear. After listening to Edis's calculation results, Jia Yan expressed great satisfaction. What satisfied him was not that Jia Yan felt selfless and had made some contribution to the development of the Zerg Queen's power. It's because he also gained a lot from it. The most important thing is the business star that he helped to build when he was working for the Zerg Queen last time. Yes, when Jia Yan arrived at the front line of the war, he remembered the business star, and then asked back, and then received a reply that satisfied him. He has always kept his share of the commercial star's income over the past 2 years. Although it is very likely that if Jia Yan does not show up again, this income will be regarded as an ownerless thing and given directly to the Queen of the Zerg herself, but Jia Yan has returned, and he has returned with such terrifying strength, so these things must be returned to him. Another point is that the Zerg Queen waved her hand. In order to reward Jia Yan for achieving the peak of the middle level of the galaxy, all the harvest of the star before the retreat was completed was attributed to Jia Yan. And coincidentally, this commercial star is not far from this battlefield. How much profit can be obtained depends on how long Jia Yan can resist the enemy's footsteps. This is probably the strength of the Zerg Queen. She forced Jia Yan to delay so that his business star income could be effectively guaranteed. Jia Yan certainly knows the methods and plans of the Zerg Queen, but this is an open plan. If Jia Yan wants to get something, he must use his own strength. An open and honest plan is the way Jia Yan likes to work. Very good, even if we lose, there will still be a few days. After a few days, more than 60% of the revenue from that business star will be collected. If we win this battle, I am sure that the resources of this business star will be more than 90% of it will be confiscated, which is not a small amount. Jia Yan smiled strangely. If you work hard, you must be rewarded, not to mention such a risky job. Since Jia Yan has become the commander-in-chief of this war, he must get corresponding rewards. In the universe, no one will fight for bullshit reputation and justice. Real things are what everyone is flocking to. The Queen of the Zerg is very smart. She figured out that Jia Yan is also smart. At the same time, she figured out that Jia Yan is also a little greedy. Greed is a good thing. If strong people are not greedy, they cannot become strong. It's just Jia Yan's greed that makes him bold and dare to risk becoming the commander-in-chief of a war. If the enemy is really angry, the strong leader of the domain will personally, if we take action, the commander-in-chief will probably be the first to die. I can't say that this kind of thing will definitely not happen. A war is a war after all. Although everyone secretly agreed that they would not attack the strong men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, God knows that the enemy's strong domain lords will be unhappy. Next, will you do it yourself? Anyway, if they kill a strong man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, they will not provoke the Zerg Queen to really fight. At most, they will only be injured and stop. Even such an injury is definitely not wanted by the territory lord, because it will make her the other starfield powerhouses around them saw an opportunity, but they got really angry. Who could hold it back? Therefore, the position of commander-in-chief is still a bit risky. Fortunately, Jia Yan received good rewards. The Queen of the Zerg even sent a message before, saying that if Jia Yan could resist the enemy for enough time, she would give more mysterious rewards. Well, as for other more rewards, I won't look at them for the time being. If I think too much, it will be a bit unpleasant if I don't get them by then. I just have to do what I can do at the moment to the best of my ability. That's fine. Jia Yan calmly put aside all the things he was thinking about, and just thought about how to drag the war into a more anxious state of even rivalry. Even though they are evenly matched, it sounds like they are weak, but you need to know one thing, that is, there is a huge difference in the strength of the two sides. The gap between the strong and the ordinary army is almost 3 to 4 times. This is because the enemy does not have the full strength to fight. Going situation. They have to guard against starfields in other directions, and they also have to worry about pushing the Zerg Queen's power too hard, causing the Zerg Queen herself to appear again. Those who need to be on guard against the Zerg Queen's forces become cruel and destroy all the planets that are still under their occupation. They will not let these two forces take back what they can't get. Even if the fish is dead and the net is broken, the members of the Zerg Queen's force may not be able to be wiped out. This is something they do not want to see. Therefore, the enemy did not go all out, and this allowed Jia Yan to see a glimmer of the possibility of being evenly matched. It won't take long even if we are evenly matched. Just wait until the next front is ready and the search can be completed. Jia Yan divided this war into several key points. The first is that he wants to form a new triangular conclusion. This is the best conclusion he reached after discussing with the two mid-level peak powerhouses of the galaxy. The three powerhouses are each other's horns and advance and retreat together, so that it is difficult for the enemy to bite down. If one party is attacked, the other two parties can quickly return to defense. Second, he divided the battle line into three lines leading to the energy circle of the Zerg Queen. After fighting for a period of time, he retreated one line, and waited for the resources and minerals in the starry sky behind the defense line to be looted, and then moved forward again. They retreated step by step, and finally retreated to the energy circle of the Zerg Queen's force. Then the Zerg Queen's force set sail and fled with a full harvest. The third point is that he is destined to have battle friction with the strong men at the top of the middle level of the enemy galaxy, and this friction, in a sense, is protected by the Domain Master's creatures. That is, the bottom line is living guarantee means that Jia Yan will definitely not die. This is why Jia Yan deliberately asked the two top mid-level powerhouses of the galaxy to leave this central war zone and stay alone. At least before the enemy found out that the two top mid-level powerhouses from the galaxy left here, he might have someone appear. Facing the situation of the top mid-level experts from the 6 galaxies. And with safety guaranteed, he can fight alone against the top mid-level experts in the 6 galaxies, which will be his extremely valuable combat experience. At this level of existence, each of them must have extremely powerful and unique trump cards. These are all key elements for his improvement in the future, which may give Jia Yan various new inspirations, and there is also safety guarantee. For Jia Yan, there is nothing more satisfying than this situation sparring. Very good, all the possibilities and advantages have been calculated in place. The right way is about blessings and disasters. What others see as disasters and problems may not be a good thing if you look at it from another point of view. In this way, I need to enjoy it. Ichiban, this is the current position of Commander-in-Chief. Jia Yan smiled happily. The several star-level guards outside the black mist felt cold all over. They didn't know why their commander-in-chief, who was temporarily on the line of fire, was laughing wildly. Could it be that he was emotionally unstable? Not to mention the group of Zerg Queen's star-level guards who were trembling with fear, only the 6 powerful enemies of the enemy. Over the past few days, the strong men at the peak of the middle level of the 6 galaxies are also a little anxious. The Zerg Queen's forces had a truce for several days in the name of a new commander-in-chief. During these days, the other party used various excuses to refuse to fight with them. War is difficult to fight without restraint. They also want to directly attack the position of the Zerg Queen, but this is a bit unreasonable. Besides, they really want to attack like this. If they enter, the losses may be too great, because the Black Mist position is not just as simple as the Black Mist position, there may also be countless traps and ambushes hidden in it. If they are ambushed, they are likely to change from an advantage to a disadvantage. This is not beautiful. What should I do? It is rumored that outside another position, someone seems to have seen a guy who is suspected to be one of the top mid-level powerhouses of the Zerg Queen's force in the galaxy. Although I have no basis, I have reason to suspect that they are there. Delay time. Yes, I seem to have received similar reports. I think it is necessary to test it out. Hurry up and fight. What is this Jia Yan? I have inquired about his information. It turns out that he escaped from the hands of several powerful men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, and even escaped from the hands of the powerful domain lords. Now I really want to try to see if I can beat him to escape. Hey, do you know what Jia Yan is called in the Zerg Queen's force? Jia Bao Bao, haha, I have reason to believe that Jia Yan may escape from us when the war goes wrong. Then everyone will you should send him off well. Ha 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 ha, I will say goodbye, but before that, I think we really can't give them any more time. Giving them one more day means letting them search for resources in the rear for one more day. These are all our resources. Let's do it. A group of mid-level peak powerhouses from the galaxy are all discussing together now. In this war, not only did the Zerg Queen gain a lot of benefits, but it also allowed the two major domain lord forces to a certain extent, resolve their old feud. Although they have not yet reached the level of loving each other, they also have the potential for strategic cooperation. Situations arise, such as today's battle to prevent the Zerg Queen from retreating. The strongmen and senior officials from both sides actually sat in the same conference room. Both parties have tried their best to put aside their past grudges. Now, at a glance, it is difficult to tell which person belongs to which force without deliberately speaking. Okay, guys from the Zerg Queen's forces, the situation in the past 2 days is indeed very weird. Let's test it out, but we have to be careful. If it becomes a final battle, then the situation may change. In the general command position of these two forces are two strong men at the peak of the middle level of the galaxy. On that day, these two strong men also flew out of the black mist and observed Jia Yan's appearance, so towards Jia Yan, it can be considered a one-sided relationship. The two of them came to a conclusion, and the strong men at the top of the middle level of the 6 galaxies immediately left their positions and prepared to go there. This Jia Yan, what do you think? Suddenly, one of the war commanders of the two major forces staying in the conference room asked the other. He's a good rising star, but his promotion time was too short. There are rumors that he defeated Black Sheep. I don't believe this, but you have to know that victory in sparring is the same as victory in battle. These are two different concepts. Therefore, his strength should not be as good as mine, but there is good room for improvement. Well, I feel the same way, so let's do it this way. If Jia Yan goes to fight later, you and I will take the initiative. Although we can't kill him, we can't give him too much training in combat skills and habits. It is possible for a strong person to fight, so as to ensure that his improvement in strength will not be that huge. Okay. Since the two commanders at the top of the intermediate galaxy have reached this point, they have completely thought about the entire battle situation, even what Jia Yan is planning, and how to make Jia Yan's calculations fail. They have even guessed that Jia Yan and the two powerful men at the middle level of the galaxy may have parted ways, and in the central theater here, Jia Yan is the only one holding up a single tree. What's even more exaggerated is that the person also pointed out that Jia Yan, the peak mid-level star of the galaxy who had just been promoted not long ago, might be using this war to make his strength a step higher and truly compete with them. Level of confrontation. This is not a good thing. Even if Jia Yan has gained combat experience and cannot show it in the entire retreat campaign, they will definitely find that Zhu Yuan can make the enemy generals stronger. Not willing to do it? Therefore, the person who made the suggestion expressed his own way of handling the matter. That is, if Jia Yan goes to war with them, he must not let Jia Yan delay the battle for a long time. He will join the battle in one breath. He does not care about the encirclement. He will be defeated instantly, gain no experience, and flee back to the black mist position. Or simply injured. Such two characters are truly qualified war commanders. Their ability to analyze and grasp the enemy's psychology is almost perfect. Huh? The enemy actually ignored us and said they were having a banquet and started attacking. Jia Yan at the other end had just finished analyzing his own strengths and weaknesses, etc., but he heard the intelligence officer coming from the outside and told him about the enemy's powerful movements. He knew that in this situation, it was usually the time when the enemy really wanted to start fighting. Jia Yan was not surprised. After all, after so many days of delay, no matter how stupid the enemy was, they would still understand that they were stalling for time. He just doesn't know what kind of lineup the enemy will send in the battle later. I hope I won't rush them all at the beginning. I still need to fight a few more serious battles with the top mid-level warriors in the galaxy before I can understand the feeling of fighting at this level. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2149. Jia Yan hopes that the battle he faces will be a gradual process. The best thing is for a strong person to fight with him in the first battle, and then defeat him. In the second battle, there will be 2, 3 from 3 battles, and fourth, well, he doesn't think he can deal with the top mid-level experts of the 4 galaxies right now. Even if the small universe explodes, it is impossible, so if there are 4, he will probably be defeated. Forced into the subspace for a chase and escape battle, if there are 5, well, Jia Yan will simply run away. If there are 6, okay, Jia Yan feels that if the opponent's 6 powerful men come out together, he will shout the other party was lying, and then said that he would report to Her Majesty the Queen, and then simply let the Edessa explode with power. He wanted nothing here, and fled back to the energy circle using 10-dimensional space flight to cry to the Queen. Because between 6 and 5, there is no chance at all. He is not an arrogant person. As soon as he is promoted, he wants to deal with the 6 majors at the same level at the same time. That is not called a genius, that is called a god. But it is impossible for everything to go according to his heart, otherwise others will be fools instead of strong men. So this time he just felt that where the 2 armies were facing each other outside, a large number of enemies began to take action. After he quickly looked outside, Jia Yan's expression became a bit ugly. Because he saw that the powerful men at the peak of the middle level of the 6 major galaxies of the enemy were coming out in one breath. Looking at the attitudes of these strong men gearing up, it feels like they are ready to join forces to fight against themselves. 6 of you, do you also want to take advantage of me? You can't bear this. I, Jia Yan, probably don't have that much respect. Jia Yan laughed, and flew out from the black mist of the Zerg Queen's position alone. The 6 strong men on the opposite side saw only Jia Yan flying out. As expected, there was no strong man around him. Suddenly, these strong men looked at each other one by one, and then sneered. Jia Yan, we will not let you go. As for the delaying tricks you are playing, we will not play with you anymore. Yes, Jia Yan, after so many days, we can say that we know your actions very well. I didn't take any action before, just to give you a face. Now you are thinking of taking other actions, which is a bit too much. You, the strong ones of the Zerg Queen, really like to do shameless things to you. Well, no need to say anything else, let's just start a battle today. A group of 6 powerful people, you say something, I say something, just in terms of conversation, they are weak and weak, only one person can speak, and the 2 mid-level galaxy powerhouses following him, as well as several junior powerhouses from the galaxy, they did not dare to interrupt at all. It feels like the enemy is sure to win. But Jia Yan had already expected it. After all, he had never been strong-willed and could not deceive people well. So after thinking about it, he smiled slightly. Guys, since you know that I arranged for the 2 seniors to rest in the wings, I won't hide it. After all, these 2 seniors have been working conscientiously on the front line for many days in the power of my Zerg Queen. I think they are quite tired, so it doesn't matter if they are assigned to the flanks, right? Doesn't it mean that you, as enemies, need to agree to this? Jia Yan sneered, if you want to get angry and start a war because of this, then I have nothing to say, just fight if you want. He smiled, but deep down he was thinking. The number of enemies is a bit too much for Jia Yan, but they seem to have so many strong men out of their positions, but they don't necessarily have to go out to fight together. He is using words to try to make the opponent's 6 major enemies the strong ones don't go out to fight together, otherwise, he really has to directly activate the 10-dimensional space ability of the Edisha, and then return to the Zerg Queen's power circle to cry to the Zerg Queen. After all, if you send out 10 powerful men to fight in one breath, even if the black sheep comes, they will definitely kneel down. Humph, Jia Yan, stop pretending. We don't know what you want to do. The triangular flanks and main formation. Those 2 fools probably couldn't figure it out in a while. It turns out he also has commanding skills, which is pretty good. A strong man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy smiled lightly, with a hint of disdain in his tone. Their advantage was too great. Apart from not allowing Jia Yan and the others to retreat quickly, it was very simple to win this war. So no matter what kind of combat method Jia Yan and the others come up with, they have a way, or rather they don't need a way, they can achieve their strategic goals by just using clever tricks. When Jia Yan thought about how to deal with their words, and tried his best to neutralize their group of mid-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy, and launched a general offensive attack on himself, 2 large galaxies walked out of the opponent's team. A strong man at the top of the middle class. Needless to say, Your Excellency Jia Yan, since you are the current Commander-in-Chief of the Zerg Queen's forces, then according to the usual practice, it is the 2 of us who fight you, but you broke the rules again, then there will be one more person beside us too. There is nothing to say about the strong man assisting on one side, right? The 2 powerful men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy are actually 2 Domain Lord forces, and they are the Commander-in-Chief of the war on this battlefield. Jia Yan was a little stunned. These 2 guys actually wanted them to work together to fight him. But thinking about what is customary, it seems to be true. When Black Sheep becomes the Commander-in-Chief of the entire front, it is these 2 guys who work together to besiege Black Sheep, and even Black Sheep often does not take much advantage. But the question is such a formation necessary to deal with a new Commander-in-Chief? And the guy who is assisting on the side, are you sure he is just an assist? Wouldn't he choose to take action all the time? Jia Yan was startled, then felt a little bitter. Yes, this means that the other party has roughly seen their plan, and their response method is still almost overwhelming, but it is also in line with the conventions of a 3-party war. In other words, even if the Zerg Queen wants to be angry, there is nothing she can do. Angry. The Black Sheep guy has been dealing with the Commander-in-Chief of the 2 middle-level peaks of the 2 galaxies at the same time. Now Jia Yan has broken certain rules. There are traces of this matter. Black Sheep has done such a thing before. At that time, the Commander-in-Chief of the enemy army at the mid-level peak of the Great Galaxy united with another strong man at the mid-level peak of the galaxy, and fought with the Black Sheep in darkness, and finally beat the Black Sheep away. At that time, the Black Sheep worked hard to become stronger, return to the energy circle and prepare to break through. But now, the means to deal with the Black Sheep have been put on yourself? And it's still the first battle. Can you give me a few more battles to get familiar with it? Jia Yan said that as the Commander-in-Chief, he still has a certain degree of success. Why not give himself more time to grow? Everything is unsatisfactory, but the strong men on the other side must have thought of Jia Yan's plan, so not giving themselves time to grow is very reasonable, and it can even be said to be the best strategy they have ever made. Well, since the 3 Your Excellencies are interested in fighting with me, then I ask for your mercy. Everything was disrupted, but Jia Yan still boasted that he still had means. He had already succeeded in dealing with 2 mid-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy, so how could he deal with 3 of them just by using his subspace talent? Isn't there a certain chance? Of course, the variable in this is the 2 commanders-in-chief of the middle-level peaks of the galaxy. Generally speaking, their strength must be greater than that of the other peak mid-level stars of the galaxy. For Jia Yan to deal with such strong men, not to mention two, he estimated that he would need certain skills to deal with one. Unfortunately, now that the two of them can't go up together, they have to bring in another strong person who is at the top of the middle level of the galaxy. What is this? Are you unwilling to beat yourself to death? No, they couldn't beat me to death, and they even abided by the rules. In other words, they were actually abiding by the battle rules that both parties had formed secretly. So why did they put in so much effort to maximize their strength? Defeat me? It can't kill me anyway, and it may even make me understand their fighting skills and so on. Jia Yan was suddenly startled. There must be a reason. He started a crazy analysis in his heart. Jia Yan's fighting rationality and wisdom have always been very, very high in battles. After all, if he was not even smart, he would have died countless times in countless life and death battles. Since they can't kill me, they still have to send almost the strongest team. I guess they will definitely defeat me in one breath after a while, because this is their original intention of sending the strongest team, right? The problem is, defeat me quickly, what are the benefits? Jia Yan thought deeply, and slowly flew towards the center of the two armies with the three powerful men to accept the opponent's challenge. And during the flight, he procrastinated just to give himself a certain amount of time to think about the reasons. That's right. If I lose faster, will they gain anything? This occurred to him at once. But what are the benefits? Did they also open a handicap on how many moves can beat me? No, the strong people at the top of the middle level of the galaxy can't be so boring. In other words, they can't use this kind of thing as a bargaining chip. Jia Yan's mind was spinning very fast, but after thinking for a long time, he still didn't realize what the other party was thinking about. In short, he was sure of one thing, that is, they wanted Jia Yan to lose quickly. Since it is what the enemy wants, Jia Yan must not let them complete it. So when he was close to the effective attack range of the three powerful men, about 500 kilometers away, Jia Yan suddenly spoke on the way forward. Okay, three of you, this distance is the beginning, right? Almost, eh? Just as the response from the other side came out, the strong man who was the peak commander of the mid-level galaxy who spoke was suddenly startled. Because after Jia Yan received the response, he stepped straight into the subspace without waiting for him to finish speaking. Ah, by the way, the intelligence said that this guy is in existence with subdimensional talent. The expression of a strong man who was at the top of the middle level of the enemy galaxy changed drastically in an instant. Then his expression became cold and he looked at each other in confusion with the other strong man. Now, it's troublesome. Their plan was to defeat Jia Yan immediately before he could react. Then Jia Yan would not be able to absorb any combat experience. They had already inquired about it. When Jia Yan had just returned to the Zerg Queen's power, although he challenged the Black Sheep and barely won a small victory, anyone with a discerning eye could see that a large part of his fighting skills were still there. In the appearance and fighting style of an ordinary mid-level galaxy powerhouse, he has not completely transformed into a peak mid-level galaxy powerhouse. He can defeat Black Sheep, and his victory is almost entirely due to his surprise. They also investigated the two mid-level galaxy powerhouses who had fought with Jia Yan before, and received similar responses. They were just not familiar with Jia Yan's fighting style. They said that if they were given a chance next time, they would definitely not let Jia Yan fight so easily. But this is terrifying enough. A strong man who has just been promoted to the top of the galaxy intermediate level has been using his combat experience and skills from the previous galaxy intermediate level. He is actually able to rival two powerful galaxy intermediate level warriors who have been promoted for a long time. The future growth space is absolutely terrifying. So their idea was to use unexpected tactics to defeat Jia Yan in an instant without gaining any combat experience. On their side, they were familiar with Jia Yan's combat skills and methods through his instant response. So that when they fight again in the future, their chances of winning are getting better and better, and it is even possible that one person can defeat this strong Zerg queen who cannot grow. This is what happens among strong men. Regardless of his talent, after being thoroughly studied by others, he will definitely be eaten to death. But what I never expected was that Jia Yan didn't follow their script. Just after he finished asking, before the three middle-level peak powerhouses of the galaxy launched a surprise attack with a ferocious smile, he actually made it on his own in one step. Entered subspace? This. It's so shameless, hiding in another dimension while others are talking. Of course, they are also quite shameless. No matter what the traditional excuse is for talking about things at the top of the three major galaxies, 3 people beat 1 person. Isn't this shameless? The strong men of the Zerg Queen's force have been enjoying their shamelessness for several years, so apart from being filled with indignation, no one around them found it unacceptable. Because I'm used to it. Change tactics. First, use tactics that restrict subspace to force him out, and then use some killer tactics. Now that Jia Yan has entered the subspace, they have no other choice. The first thing they need to do is to force Jia Yan out of his home subspace, and then consider using their trump card to defeat him instantly. Among them, their method of forcing Jia Yan to leave the subspace must be popular, and not even a trump card can be used. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2150. Because if he uses it, Jia Yan will gain experience and even draw parallels, allowing him to prepare to study countermeasures against strong men who force him to leave the subspace. This is how strong people are. In each battle, they often gain a lot of experience. Especially looking at Jia Yan's past, he has a terrifying growth ability. After a battle, he can learn a lot they will definitely won't give a chance. But they didn't give him a chance, but Jia Yan would create his own chance, and he entered the subspace. Let's fight. Since Lord Jia Yan thinks that there is nothing we can do against him when he enters the subspace, let him see that not all of us in the central star field of the Milky Way have subspace talents. The helpless countryside. The 2 commanders at the top of the middle level of the galaxy are not pedantic figures. They know that they can't fight without fighting at the moment. They can't just declare this battle to be aborted if things go against their plans, right? That would seem a bit too cowardly and would have an impact on military morale. Since it is inevitable to deal with Jia Yan who has entered the subspace, the only option is to fight. Boom. The first person to take action was actually not the strong man at the top of the middle level of the 2 galaxies, but the guy who stood aside and said he was an auxiliary, but was actually one of the main combatants. Everyone is at the top of the intermediate level of the galaxy. Although generally speaking, the 2 commanders are stronger than these average mid-level peak players of the galaxy, there is no absolute certainty in this kind of thing. If we really want to fight, it may be because physical problems may be due to conflicting attributes, or luck, etc. Even if he defeats the top commanders of the 2 mid-level galaxies, there will be nothing shocking. Therefore, his move was extremely shocking. You want to be the first to deal with me? Jia Yan, you are wrong. The strong man at the peak of the middle level of the galaxy sensed an approaching surge of power behind him. After sneering, he turned back and slapped the subspace behind him to pieces. Boom. In the shallow layer of subspace, at least within a 10-kilometer radius, everything was in chaos. And the coming power was directly turned into a stream of gravel by the slap. Huh? It turned out to be fake. The expression of this powerful man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy changed slightly, and then he took another step back. Because after he saw that the person he photographed was not Jia Yan himself at all, but a pile of gravel, he understood that this was just a cover-up trick by the other party. If nothing unexpected happened, there would definitely be follow-up actions. Puff. Sure enough, in the subspace beside him, there was a sharp foot, which stabbed out fiercely and suddenly penetrated the flank arm of this mid-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy. It's so sharp, but it can't pierce my arm. Cut it off. This strong man had extremely thick arms. Without checking for a moment, Jia Yan's foot stabbed his arm into his arm. However, he was not afraid and twisted his arm fiercely to try to get the thing stuck in his arm. The foot was directly twisted off. If it breaks, it will be a big problem. Jia Yan will definitely lose a lot of combat effectiveness. The battle will either stop, or if the fight continues, his combat effectiveness will be greatly reduced, and he will become an object of fun for them. Of course, whether Jia Yan, who broke his foot, can use energy to repair his foot in the future depends on his own repair ability. If he can't repair it for a while, he will be disabled for a long time. The strength will also become very weak. This strong man thought this way, and even made a plan on how he would tease the so-called new commander-in-chief of the Zerg Queen when Jia Yan's foot was broken. But the question is, can Jia Yan's feet be broken so easily? Impossible. Puff. At the same moment when the opponent twists his arm, Jia Yan's body is in the subspace and flies in the direction of his twist. This requires very strong judgment. After all, people will not twist according to your will. If the judgment fails, that is the price to pay with your own feet. The combat effectiveness and energy of both sides are at the peak level of the middle level galaxy, so the difference is not too big, and the physical strength will not be much different, so if their tactics are to succeed, then Jia Yan is as a result of breaking his foot, even if he is an evolved beast and can quickly repair his injuries in the future, the repaired foot will definitely not be able to reach the strength it is currently using for a while, and his combat effectiveness will indeed be greatly reduced. Fortunately, his judgment was correct. The opponent's twist was in the same direction as his flight. This shows how fast Jia Yan moves in the subspace. People just twist their arms, but he suddenly moves with the speed of his arms. He can't keep up even if he's not fast enough. Drink. The strong man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy roared suddenly when he saw that he could not twist Jia Yan's feet. Unexpectedly, under this twist, Jia Yan actually pulled his foot back before he exerted force. Amidst the sudden earth-shaking, only this mid-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy was left in the starry sky, panting constantly, but no one could know who had the advantage in the confrontation just now. But there are also many people who found that in this starry sky, the blood from their arms dripped and heated up large areas of the starry sky. This is the reason why the middle-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy are too strong. As long as they are strong, the stronger they are. The more powerful the blood is, if someone comes to clean up the battlefield later and collects this blood, it can even be sold at a good price. Those who use it to practice may be able to practice beyond the original level. Of course, in the current battle, no one dares to take risks in the battle circle where the two mid-level peak powerhouses of the galaxy are fighting. People with this ability might as well find a peak mid-level galaxy powerhouse to bleed themselves. How's the injury? The two enemy commanders at the top of the middle level of the galaxy rushed to the side of the strong man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy. They both looked at the strong man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy with ugly expressions. I felt a throbbing pain in my face. I just thought about knocking Jia Yan down quickly, but I didn't expect that after the first move, Jia Yan still took the upper hand. Even if they could win quickly, if word of this battle spread, everyone would be disappointed. I wouldn't say it was a clean victory on their side. What's more, it's really difficult for Jia Yan to enter the subspace. They were also observing the left and right just now. As a result, they didn't judge the correct situation before Jia Yan appeared using gravel as bait, otherwise they would have warned him long ago. This shows that Jia Yan's fighting style in subspace has already been very mature. Jia Yan, are you considered a strong man with this sneaky little trick? One of the commanders at the peak of the middle level of the galaxy spoke coldly to the surrounding starry subspace. Oh? Are you cheating? I don't think I'm cheating. Otherwise, how should subspace talents fight? Can you teach me? Jia Yan was inside the subspace. Hearing these words, he wanted to laugh out loud. He used his subspace talent to fight, and he actually became a sneaky person? He is simply the most powerful person in the world. In other words, his fighting style is different from that of the subspace talented experts in the central star field of the Milky Way. Is he just sneaking around? Hey, I won't do it, I'll make you mad. This. The two commanders at the top of the intermediate galaxy looked at the slightly injured intermediate galaxy expert and finally stopped talking. They know that Jia Yan, a mid-level peak powerhouse from the outside world, is also a strange subspace talented fighter. He must have his own set of fighting methods. When fighting, others must follow the rules of his own subspace talent. The way the warrior fights is simply hilarious. You can fight them however you want, they are all enemies, and to ask for so much is a bit too much. They felt Jia Yan moving inside the subspace. As strong men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, even if they do not have the talent for subspace, their understanding of subspace must be far better than that of other strong people. Therefore, even if Jia Yan enters the subspace, as long as he does not fly at a deeper level, as long as you concentrate on understanding, you can still feel where he is. Jia Yan, I won't tell you whether you committed a foul, but from now on, you will definitely not have the slightest chance. Yes, your subspace talent is indeed powerful, but judging from the way you fought just now, I know that you are taking a completely wild path. This kind of petty thing may have an effect at the beginning. If you fight for a while, it will fail. The strong men in the central star field of the Milky Way are extremely proud of their central status, and it is true that the strong men here, no matter what kind of talented beings they are walking on a relatively correct path. Strong people with subspace talents are all on a good path. For example, Jia Yan, who uses gravels and other things as cover to fight, seems a bit petty, and it does not have much benefit for future progress. In fact, even Jia Yan himself has already realized this. He has already had the idea to visit some local strong people with subspace talents, and then send them to learn from their experience, so that he can take a slightly crooked path, leading back towards the relatively correct road. It was just a series of events that made him put this idea on hold for a long time, and because after many battles in the central star field of the Milky Way, his petty theft fighting method gradually became able to deal with the locals. He has become a strong man, so he estimates that he will go further and further along this path of being looked down upon by others, until he slowly changes. Guys, thank you for your suggestions, but now we should fight first. Don't you just want me to fight the three of you head on? Haha, it turns out that this is the orthodox method of warfare in the central star field of your galaxy. It makes me happy. It's an eye-opener. When Jia Yan faced the sarcastic remarks from the other three, he himself retorted eloquently. After hearing these words, the three peak mid-level warriors in the galaxy looked ugly again. Because their three-on-one plan, if it is said to be the orthodox fighting method of the galaxy's central star region, then it is estimated that there are countless strong men from the galaxy's central star region who will come to trouble them. After all, they are so shameless. So at the moment, we can no longer mention things like Jia Yan's petty arrogance. Everyone is indifferent. It should even be said that it is even more shameless to beat them with more than less. Puff. Inside the subspace, Jia Yan was thinking. These days, he used the excuse of catching up with the wind and washing away the dust and deliberately delayed the time, but he was not just waiting. In fact, in the past few days, he called a large number of engineers inside the entire black mist, that is, logistics creatures, and asked them to get a large number of surrounding meteorites and the like, and then in the subspace, countless large meteorite balls, both large and small, appeared. The meteorite that just flew out of the subspace and was about to collide with the strong man was also one of them. The more Jia Yan uses this kind of thing, the easier it becomes. Even if it is called petty theft, he is happy with it. After all, a strong man can win the battle, so there is no need to pay so much attention. And within this large area of meteorites, what he is best at must be indispensable, and that is his positive and negative explosives. These explosive positive and negative force meteorites are hidden in such a large number of meteorites, and among them are really, to be honest, if Jia Yan himself was not the creator, and the positive and negative forces were like bright lights to him, it would be difficult to distinguish them at once. Next, I'm going to let you have a taste of the power of this petty theft fighting method. What Jia Yan actually wants to do is to fight with the opponent with real swords and guns, such as a head-on confrontation with them, so that he can understand the fighting methods of other strong men. There will be a lot of gains from killer tricks and the like, and you can even learn from them to improve your own strength. It was a pity that the opponent directly used the three-person combat method. Jia Yan did not dare to show his face easily, so he could only use his best fighting method. This fighting method almost draws the enemy into one's own combat skills. Although one can also see many of the opponent's combat dodges and skills, the effect is definitely much worse. But there is no other way. This battle is still very important to Jia Yan. When a new official takes office, his first priority must be to win the external war. Even if he doesn't win, he must draw a tie. This will be quite useful for Jia Yan to issue orders next. Besides, even if he loses, he must lose beautifully. Click it. So he had to use his familiar throwing bombs combat plan. Come on, my bomb army. Jia Yan smiled happily in the subspace. With his smile, a large number of meteorites moved in the entire subspace in an instant. I saw that in the subspace, where the three powerful men from the outside world originally sensed no objects, there were shadows of moving objects in an instant, and when they started to move, there were hundreds or thousands of them, which shocked them. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2151. Here they come. Lots of them. Is this Jia Yan, a rag picker? Where did he find so many rubbish meteorites? Puff. The three middle-level galactic experts were just beginning to be shocked by Jia Yan's shamelessness, but they discovered that this guy had hidden such a huge amount of meteorites in subspace. Previously, these meteorites were motionless and had some concealment methods in the subspace, so they really couldn't detect them. Now that Jia Yan was aroused, their faces instantly became much uglier. Each meteorite, if it were of the same magnitude just now, would actually not do much damage to them, but don't forget how the middle-level peak powerhouse of the galaxy with strong arms was injured just now. Jia Yan took advantage of the strong man's attention being attracted by the meteorite, and then had the opportunity to sneak attack from the side. In other words, these thousands of meteorites are shooting out at any time and at any time. Each one may give them the possibility of mistaking it for Jia Yan. How can they fight? Puff. A meteorite shot up, and the strong man with strong arms in the normal universe looked ugly for a while. Are you looking for me again? I won't let you succeed this time. Although he was injured, the stabbing injury was not serious. Just now, Jia Yan did not have time to surge his brainwave power to his wound, causing his injury to become the kind of external force that caused it. It was beyond repair, so he could still move freely, and even the wounds began to heal. But as if Jia Yan had determined that he was the breakthrough point, another meteorite surged out from the subspace beside him, making his face look ugly. This powerful creature suddenly waved its fist behind it and slammed its fist on the rock coming from behind. At the same time, he prepared his other fist to turn it into a counterattack. As long as Jia Yan dared to make another sneak attack, he would dare to fight back and beat the opponent's feet or other attack parts to pieces. Unfortunately, his preparation didn't work. Jia Yan's attack disappeared immediately. What? He didn't attack, damn it! A meteorite is coming to my side too. The strong men in the outside world can only vaguely see the scenery inside the subspace. Even the meteorites are blurry, like myopia without glasses. Although they can see clearly, they are not very clear. Therefore, they can only feel if there are objects approaching them in the subspace when the living meteorites are moving at high speed. Therefore, this gives Jia Yan too much room to play. One of the enemy's two commanders-in-chief was also in good physical condition. His body was like a long striped fish monster. He also looked ugly at this moment. He felt a meteorite attack coming from his side. The hairtail-like body suddenly flicked out in a very coordinated arc, and then the meteorite that had just flown out of the subspace turned into fragments. It's not that they are afraid of such meteorites. In fact, such ordinary stones will not cause much harm even if they are allowed to hit them at super fast speeds. However, they have to guard against Jia Yan. There are hands and feet above. But after a series of attacks and counterattacks, they almost understood that Jia Yan had not tampered with this stone. After all, if you try to tamper with so many stones, it will definitely waste a lot of energy and time, and may even burn a lot of resources. Otherwise, how can you threaten the top mid-level experts in the galaxy? Puff puff. After the strong commander-in-chief defeated the pieces of rubble, the meteorites in the subspace shot up one by one and continued to fly out towards the outside world. Damn it! Jia Yan, do you only know how to do this little trick of throwing stones? The faces of several people who were at the top of the middle level of the galaxy were looking very angry. Each of them has never experienced a similar battle. Which strong person would always use foreign objects? Even the powerful ones within the Zerg Queen's force didn't do this, okay. Jia Yan is the only one. Haha, guys, I like to do this. This is also my way of fighting. If you don't like it, you can just surrender. Jia Yan was inside the subspace, and had been secretly observing the three powerful men at the top of the middle-level galaxy outside. At the same time, he also controlled his real trump card, which were a few meteorites with positive and negative explosive power. For Jia Yan, he didn't care at all about their jokes and sarcasm. It's just that there are things that he needs to care about, and there are quite a lot of them. He knew that these three strong men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, even if they said they were disdainful and said that they did not want to fight with him, in fact, each of them had the ability to turn the tables in an instant. The trump card that would defeat Jia Yan has never been used. Despite what they said, it seemed like there was nothing they could do against Jia Yan, but their brainwave power was always exploring the interior of the subspace. As long as they found Jia Yan's true body, they would launch a fierce attack. This is the persistence of the top mid-level warriors in the galaxy. They will not give up at all in the battle, even in this combat method that they despise, they cannot give up. In fact, during the conversation with Jia Yan, these three people were also eliciting Jia Yan to speak, or asking him to take the initiative to reveal his body. Unfortunately, even if Jia Yan responded to them, he did not use his true brain waves. The power vibrates, making the opponent aware of where he is in the subspace. Listening to Jia Yan's voice inside the subspace, it seemed as if it was vibrating from all aspects of the first-level space. The three middle-level peak powerhouses of the galaxy couldn't help but secretly spit in their hearts, calling Jia Yan a slippery man. He was already hiding in the subspace, Yet he was so cautious that he refused to reveal any trace of his true brainwave power. In addition, there are so many meteorites, each of which is like a small black dot. The larger ones make outsiders think that they are Jiayan, but they are often mistaken. Puff puff. These small black dots continuously flowed from the interior of the subspace to the outside world, bombarding the three powerful men in the outside world. I remember that Jiayan seems to have a unique fighting skill. What is it? I saw it last time. A mid-level enemy commander in the galaxy, the one who has not yet been taken care of by Jiayan. He looks like a tapeworm, with every segment on his body. Jiayan is a little disgusted just looking at it, so he doesn't how to attack him. But he was still destroying Jiayan's attacking meteorites. As soon as the brainwave power spilled out, many meteorites in the subspace that came close to him were defeated by the brainwave power. This guy is probably a powerful one. The power of brainwaves exists. Jiayan's unique attack mode. I remember I have read this report before. The main reason is that he has too few battles and no information at all. Another middle-level commander of the galaxy who looked like a fish, his expression was also filled with memories and thoughts. But as if they didn't want them to think about this information, the number of meteorites that appeared in the attack in the subspace instantly became more numerous. Another mid-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy with strong arms was suddenly immersed in some memory at this moment. Not long after, he was about to attack at will, and it was very similar to before, except that when the meteorite, which was like an ordinary meteorite, attacked, he turned around and started shouting with the two commanders-in-chief. I remember, the intelligence said that Jiayan has the ability to transform ordinary stones into explosives. Be careful, there may be something in these meteorites. Boom. When this guy reminded others, he failed to notice that the meteorite behind him exploded with brilliance. The meteorite suddenly exploded as he wished. What? Damn it! The other two saw that the subordinate, who was similar in strength to them, was exploded into a ball of fire by a meteorite similar to other meteorites. Their eyes were about to burst in an instant. It was not like they had any comrades. Feelings, I just think that this time is a bit frightening to them. With the explosion just now, they had almost thought of such a thing, but the actual arrival made them feel that it was too unbelievable. The point is that the exploding meteorite is so similar to an ordinary meteorite. Generally speaking, whether it is a technological meteorite explosive or any other explosive, there will be something a little strange, even if it is disguised as an ordinary meteorite. Things are easy to detect for strong people like them who have a sixth sense. But this meteorite explosive was even concealed from them. Ah! In the explosion flames, the strong man who was completely swallowed by the meteorite explosion suddenly used his brainwave power to disperse the flames around his body and the energy of the explosion. After all, he is a strong man at the top of the middle level of the galaxy, and it is impossible for him to die so easily. But his appearance could be described as miserable. The strong muscles of his arms were burned into lumps, and his face and body were covered with injuries and burnt shapes caused by the explosion. It can be said that he was injured several times in this battle. Even if he can win the battle later, for him, this is still a relatively failed performance. Humph, Jiayan, do you only know how to play tricks like this? I'm not ready to leave the show yet. This strong man's face was extremely ugly, and he looked towards the subspace with rage. Inside the subspace, Jiayan was also a little shocked. He just succeeded in the explosion with one blow, but he was a little happy. If it had been an ordinary middle-level strong man from the galaxy, he would have been seriously injured by the explosion just now. According to his opinion, the strong man with strong arms would have been doomed to withdraw from the battle without being seriously injured by this explosion. This is just a battle between the peaks of the mid-level galaxies. It is impossible for them to die. If the fight reaches a certain level, if they do not retreat, they will be criticized by their own domain lord level experts. But what surprised Jia Yan was that although this guy was really hit by himself and injured, his injuries were not serious enough to make him withdraw from the battle. It's amazing. It seems that I have underestimated the existence of the middle-level peak of the galaxy. It may be difficult to defeat two strong people who are the peak of the galaxy. Now that I am fighting three, I must be more careful. Jia Yan sighed and calmed down the feeling of being a little proud of having used so many meteorite tactics in just one moment. You know, if he was discovered by three strong men from the middle level of the galaxy, he would probably have to kneel down if the three of them jointly attacked him, because Jia Yan's true body was swinging on the first level of the subspace. The attackers just couldn't see the scene here clearly. For their attack power, such a thin layer of obstacles was like a layer of paper, which did not affect their attack power at all. If Jia Yan is careless, he will be unlucky. This is one of Jia Yan's attacks, and it's his trump card. I remember it. Yes, I have read his report before. Last time, it seemed that he used this fighting method to defeat the mid-level galaxy beings guarding our position. The two commanders at the top of the middle level of the galaxy also suddenly woke up at this moment. They were fine when they saw this comrade, and they exhaled deeply in their hearts, because Jia Yan could not defeat any of them with one blow, which meant that they themselves would not be easily defeated by Jia Yan with one blow. The safety factor will be much greater. Damn Jia Yan. The strong man with strong arms at the peak of the middle level of the galaxy was already a little frustrated. His brainwave power surged directly into the subspace regardless of whether there would be any loss. As long as someone is willing to use the power of brainwaves to vibrate on the first level of the subspace, the small subspace nearby will probably be swept away by this strong man. Even those meteorites will be continuously swept away when he sweeps it. Destruction. When he saw a meteorite, he used his brainwave power to blow it up. Looking for the book, the brainwave power didn't feel stingy at all. Ha, this guy is already very angry. It's better to let him waste his brainwave power. The energy of our mid-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy is very precious. Be careful if he gets angry and gets angry with us. The two commanders at the top of the middle level of the galaxy were happy that this angry man was using his brainwave power without regard to waste. They felt that they would be able to find Jia Yan soon. This guy really doesn't care about energy. When Jia Yan was inside the subspace, he saw the meteorites that he had painstakingly arranged to sweep and explode outside the subspace. He felt a little angry and depressed. However, it can consume the brainwave power of one of them, which is also a gain for Jia Yan. There is a saying in the team of strong men above the middle level of the galaxy that their energy is too difficult to cultivate and repair, and they can only cultivate it slowly. Therefore, many strong men encounter battles. At that time, if they were asked to choose non-fatal injuries or waste half of their own strength, they would choose to suffer non-fatal injuries, because energy is the most important thing for a strong person. Unexpectedly, this being who was annoyed by Jia Yan would directly ignore his energy. It was simply inexplicable to waste his power in such unnecessary places. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2152. But I am different from them. My energy is restored very quickly. Otherwise, so many meteorites would consume at least more than half of the energy of a mid-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy. I have only recovered to 3/4 of it in the past 2 days. Look. Jia Yan manipulated the meteorites that could explode and quietly moved farther away from the range of the brainwave power of this crazy mid-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy. This is to protect these explosive meteorites. At the same time, in order to deceive others, he also controlled part of the meteorites and flew them out to attack, causing the three strong men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy to fall into another round of sneak attacks. Hey, this battle has allowed me to see a lot of fighting methods at the top of the mid-level galaxy. It seems to be quite rewarding. Their plan has failed. It is said that Jia Yan is not allowed to see the fighting methods of the top mid-level experts in the galaxy, but in such a short period of time, Jia Yan has already seen many methods of the top mid-level experts in the galaxy. Although they are not frontal combat skills, maybe he had a glimpse of the application of quantity and habits, and he understood a lot. In fact, it's not that Jia Yan doesn't know many methods, but he doesn't know how other strong people use them. For example, how should the strong people at the peak of the mid-level galaxy control their power, and how far should they release their energy? Yes, it is useless to look at these if they are not at the peak of the middle level of the galaxy. But those who have reached the peak of the middle level of the galaxy will understand them after seeing them and give themselves many inspirations. This is why these beings don't want to give Jia Yan a reason to see these fighting skills. The more Jia Yan sees the fighting skills and habits of the mid-level peak of the galaxy, the more he will improve his fighting inspiration and direction, and the speed at which his strength will also increase explosively. Damn it! Get out of the way quickly. The meteorites released by the sky are actually made with the power of the past. Their explosion will have minimal impact on the current strength. After dodging several meteorite attacks, the fish-shaped peak commander of the mid-level galaxy said this to the other two with an ugly expression. How could the two accomplices not see this? Their expressions were extremely ugly, and they felt very aggrieved by the beating. The biggest problem was that they didn't know that Jia Yan would hide in the subspace in an instant. After that, they became passive. Secondly, Jia Yan controlled these meteorites to attack himself and others. He actually used things that were made before, instead of his current power. Therefore, the impact on his current energy was minimal, which made them a little headache. Making these meteorites and controlling their energy will definitely require a lot of effort. They were thinking just now that Jia Yan's energy is not unlimited. Controlling these meteorites and even those explosives will definitely consume a lot of energy. When the time is right, they will be able to catch the exhausted Jia Yan in one fell swoop, and the next step will be their moment of revenge. But now it seems that Jia Yan probably didn't use too much energy, so the situation is reversed. Being attacked by the seemingly endless meteorite, although not much power is wasted, there is still the danger of Jia Yan's sneak attack beside him, and there are also those kind of exploding meteorites, which makes the three strong men at the top of the middle level of galaxy. I simply exhausted my mind to think. Although my body's ability was not consumed too much, my brain was already a little tired. Shameless. The strong-armed man who released a large amount of brainwave power and spread the waves into the subspace without detonating too many meteorites stopped his useless work. Jia Yan was already quickly evacuating the meteorites within his 4 subspaces. Even if he went crazy, he would not be able to detonate all the meteorites for a while. Moreover, other meteorites flew from the subspace from time to time, affecting his brain. The use of wave power forced him to stop the output of brain wave power. 3 of you, you can talk to me, Jia Yan, about others, but can you please stop saying shameless and unfair words all the time? When talking about others, please look at your own behavior. 3 against 1, even 2 powerful men at the commander-in-chief level are here, and they still call me shameless. Why does this sound so awkward? Jia Yan, who was inside the subspace, finally couldn't help it because of these 3 words, and sarcastically laughed out loud. At the end of the Zerg Queen's force, a group of soldiers and strong men also laughed out loud in an instant. They originally thought that Jia Yan would definitely be defeated, but they didn't expect that he would use his subspace talent and use the meteorite strategy that he had been disappearing every day for the past few days to make the enemy disgraced. Suddenly everyone was stunned. He breathed a sigh of relief, so Jia Yan made some jokes about his enemies, and they laughed too. What a shame, the strong men of these 2 forces, the 2 commanders-in-chief have come forward, but they can't stand His Excellency Commander-in-Chief Jia Yan. By the way, the subspace talent is really easy to use. Also, is the exploding energy material a meteorite? Or is this the yin-yang Tao that Commander-in-Chief Jia Yan has been talking about? This extremely pure power of positive and negative is so amazing that they all want to learn it. It can be said that before this battle, Jia Yan's combat effectiveness was not very optimistic, because in any case, he was just a mid-level strong man in the galaxy 2 years ago. It is said that he was wandering in the outside world. Under the circumstances, it has just reached the peak of the middle level of the galaxy. Therefore, no one is optimistic about his fighting ability. Even if he has a record of defeating Black Sheep, everyone is saying that he just used some unique methods and played with the rules. But now, Jia Yan has proved his fearlessness with his strength. With 1 against 3, and even 2 of them are the enemy's commander-in-chief, this lineup is enough to drive away the Black Sheep. Even if Jia Yan has been using subspace abilities and not confronting the opponent head-on, this is the normal fighting method of subspace talent, is that the subspace talent requires standing and head-on confrontation with the enemy. Therefore, everyone agreed with Jia Yan's actions, and no one thought it was despicable. Even many people in the enemy formation felt that Jia Yan's words made sense. Of course, you wouldn't say this in front of everyone. Jia Yan, don't show off your words. Even if you can dodge our attacks for the time being, what will happen next? We will have enough energy to grind with you slowly. I believe that even if you don't use it now, you can use the power that requires strength to control it, and use the power that requires strength to act, right? I still don't believe that you alone can be on par with the 3 of us. The hairtail-like strong man didn't disagree with Jia Yan's behavior, he just continued to provoke him indifferently. Boom. Inside subspace, another meteorite comes. This hairtail-like commander-in-chief, with 1 blow, the meteorite exploded. He retreated slightly and stared at somewhere in the subspace without fear. They, the strong men in the central star field of the Milky Way, actually have their own way of dealing with the strong men with subspace talents. Now they are being forced back by Jia Yan, but they are not very particular about the rules of fighting against Jia Yan. The method is just a bit unfamiliar. Now that he was familiar with Jia Yan's several rough meteorite throws and his own movement patterns in subspace, he had gradually been able to see the trajectory of Jia Yan's combat skills. Don't forget, the Galactic Central Star region is the Galactic Central Star region. The strong men here have an understanding of knowledge and various combat techniques that the strong men from the outside world cannot match. Jia Yan's sudden and weird subspace fighting method made them a little confused, and one of them was even injured. But based on their combat knowledge, they would soon understand the core of Jia Yan's fighting method, and then target them. Make combat adjustments. This is why, during the 2 or 3 years of the war, the strong men of the 2 domain lord level forces improved very quickly. They originally did not have much fighting experience against barbaric strong men, but now they have a lot of fighting experience. And the improvement speed is even faster. This is the explosion of knowledge reserves and strong foundation. Whew! Another burst of meteorite energy flew towards him. Hey, I know, this is the kind that can explode, right? I can already feel the unique positive and negative power in you. The hairtail-like strong man expressed more concern for another meteorite shot by Jia Yan, and even escaped from the direction of the meteorite. Boom! Sure enough, after he escaped from that location, the meteorite exploded into a ball. In the earth-shattering explosion, the flames emerged from within, and at the edge of the flames, the hairtail-like creatures had already exited the explosion range that could threaten him. In other words, this explosion really didn't have much impact on him. Huh? Just escaped like this. Jia Yan felt the departure of this strong man in the subspace. 1 meteorite exploded in vain, and his face suddenly turned ugly. One of his trump cards is this meteorite explosive, and for him, his explosives have not missed too many times. I didn't expect that someone would see through it in a place like this. That's right, I have to remember that the enemies we are dealing with now are no longer the middle and middle-level powerhouses of the galaxy, but a group of powerhouses at the top of the middle-level galaxy level. They are only one level short of domain master creatures. Jia Yan sighed deeply in his heart. In fact, Jia Yan has long known that one day, many of his perceived advantages will be easily seen through by others at a certain level, and his talents and other things will not be regarded as unique in the same level. The presence. Because the higher the level, the better people at the same level are. It's not that Jia Yan has become mediocre, but that all beings who can reach this level are equally excellent. Even judging from the fact that Jia Yan can barely fight 1 against 3, he can still dominate most beings of the same level, which is good enough. It's just that he understands that these powerful men at the top of the middle level of the galaxy are just subordinates of 2 small domain lord level forces on the edge of the Milky Way's central star field. In the real galaxy's central star field, similar strong men, they are really like the crucian carp crossing the river, and they are countless. There are probably geniuses there who are of the same level and can kill them in one fell swoop. And Jia Yan is only a small player in front of such a real genius. It takes 1 strike to kill the middle-level peaks of the galaxy in front of him, so 2 strikes is the most to kill Jia Yan. That's why he felt a little uncomfortable. Of course, I have figured it out a long time ago. Isn't it just to come to this galaxy's central star field to see more powerful people and see greater existences? So there's no need to feel bad, it's not a surprise in the first place. If you are not strong enough, then just become strong enough. Your talent isn't outstanding, at least it's not bad, right? Just try hard. What's more, his body as an evolved beast seems to have some advantages, especially in the unique behavior of mutation, which makes him more perfect every time. To a certain extent, he is actually always improving himself. The upper limit of talent is due to mutation, which is essentially something to improve one's talent. Haha, guys, since you have seen through so many of my moves, I will try my best. You should be careful. If you die, don't tell us that our Zerg Queen forces have broken the rules. Jia Yan was inside the subspace, and a terrifying brilliance shone in his compound eyes. Yes, he is about to use his true fighting ability. He is someone who wants to continue climbing up. If he has to struggle hard in a place like this and then hesitate to look forward and backward, how can he talk about the future? If that's the case, that's the end of it for Jia Yan. Boom boom boom. At this moment, after Jia Yan finished speaking his extremely heroic words, suddenly, waves of moving objects surged out from within the subspace. It turned out that deeper inside the subspace, some large meteorite explosives were moved by him to the outside world. The meteorite explosives that had been well protected before were also attracted by Jia Yan and came to the front of the battlefield. He doesn't care about the loss, or even whether the other party will be killed by him. Since they feel that their fighting skills are very rough, then let me be rough, but rough people can only use pure power. 1 is rough, 2 is rough, what about 10, 20, or even 100? No matter how rough it is, I will blow you to pieces, no matter how rough it is, I will win. Jia Yan sneered, and at the same time vowed in his heart that he would make his rough fighting skills more refined in the future, because he did not want to waste his strength in vain and be laughed at by the enemy. Of course, fine combat power may allow him to defeat more powerful enemies. Jia Yan has already thought about it. If he wants to improve his combat power, on the one hand, he must focus on the explosive period after promotion, in terms of improving the sophistication of his combat skills. If these 2 points are successfully improved, then his combat effectiveness is expected to make a qualitative leap. It seems that this book is going to be exempted for a limited time again, the 2nd or 3rd time, haha, thank you editor for giving Xiapasha so many opportunities, love them. Still looking for the free novel Rebirth of the Giant Mosquito in the Starry Sky? Baidu Direct Search, reading novels is easy. Equals. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2153. Especially in terms of precision, if an authentic combat routine is formed. If there are standards between each action, so much energy will not be wasted, and the effectiveness of the combat will be greatly improved. If he can do this, he dares to do it at the same time. Of course, he couldn't guarantee whether he would win the battle against the top mid-level players of the 6 galaxies in front of him. In short, that is the direction of the future. He has not belittled himself, nor has he underestimated the local strongmen in the central star region of the galaxy. If he did not admire this place, why would he spend a lot of money to come here? What? This guy is still hiding so many large meteorites deep in subspace. This, Jiayan, don't tell me, this kind of meteorite can also explode. Damn it, this kind of explosives can't be made by technology, right? It's just a discussion. If you use technology, it's cheating. The 3 top mid-level galactic experts who had been observing the interior of the subspace were almost a little autistic at this moment. They saw the inside of the subspace, which should not be said to be superficial, but deep inside. There were actually meteorites flying out from a depth of 5 or 6 degrees. What shocked them the most was that the meteorite, which had been hidden at a depth of 5 or 6 degrees and that they had no way of detecting, was huge. Although there are only a dozen or so, each one is 30 or 40 kilometers across. If they are also explosives. The meteorite that was only a few hundred meters in size exploded just now, causing the strong man with strong arms to suffer a certain amount of damage. If the meteorite that was dozens of kilometers in size could also explode, then they would be in danger. It's not that big ones are necessarily better. For example, as soon as this kind of meteorite appeared, they understood that the moving speed of this kind of meteorite was too slow. It was more than 5 times slower than the many meteorites of several hundred meters in size in subspace. If they really move, unless they are fools, they will be difficult to hit. But this kind of thing is like a nuclear weapon. The difference is whether it has it or not. Once you have it, the strong people will always worry about whether there will be a sudden attack. Their actions and tactics will also deviate and change due to the existence of such a big threat. In this way, the entire situation will be tilted towards Jiayan. Of course, the above is not a direct threat. The biggest threat to the 3 mid-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy is that if they are accidentally hit by these dozen giant exploding meteorites, then they can really explode. If that would really kill you. Damn it! Jiayan has taken the initiative. The 3 top mid-level stars of the galaxy were also human-like figures. As soon as they saw the dozens of meteorites appearing, without even knowing whether they could explode, they realized that the dominance of this battle was gradually tilted towards Jiayan, the subspace powerhouse. And even if they understand that there is a high probability that Jiayan will not use these meteorites, there are such huge threats above his head. To them, it is like hanging a sword of Shangfang, which will still cause huge psychological pressure on them. Oh, Your Excellency, your movements have slowed down. Look at the impact of the meteorite. Jiayan smiled sarcastically in the subspace, and then the meteorite flew towards the strong man and hit him hard. Damn it! The strong man he attacked with the meteorite was the hairtail-like existence. He cursed, but did not dare to step back carelessly to avoid the small meteorite. But at the same moment, Jiayan touched another giant meteorite that came to the 3rd level space, causing it to move. The direction in which the meteorite moved was exactly where the hairtail fish was. He was so frightened that he froze and wanted to change his direction to avoid it. Boom! Unexpectedly, after such a pause, the small meteorite exploded next to him. Yes, this is another small meteorite that can explode. Whether it is true or false, It can be said that Jia Yan used his ingenuity to detonate the meteorite at this time. It can be said that the effect is the best. Ah! Jia Yan. You. No need to say harsh words, just say whether you will withdraw from this battle or not. If you don't withdraw, you will still be bombarded by me. Jia Yan's sneer came from inside the subspace, giving the strong man a wake-up call, and directly interrupted the curse words he was about to say. We are all smart people. The answer is right in front of us as to how to make Jia Yan stop attacking and stop embarrassing them. It is their business if they are unwilling to surrender or want to escalate the matter. Jia Yan was just doing what he had done against many strong men. It can be said that the subspace talent in him has been used to the most trivial level, and it can be said that it is extremely uncomfortable to recruit other strong people. If we really want to start a life and death battle, Jia Yan believes that with the strength of these three mid-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy, they will not be too afraid of him. Even if he has more than a dozen meteorites that explode into a large area, they may not be able to defeat him. There is no way to avoid it. If you just want to avoid it, you will have to expose more of your trump cards, and you will have to fight hard. This is just a discussion battle between the two sides, and even the enemies are just conducting a test battle against themselves, which has no strategic significance at all. Even if they win the battle, it will only allow the main force of the Zerg Queen to retreat a certain distance, but if the trump card is exposed, future wars may become passive. And what if Jia Yan's strength is recognized and he suddenly gives up? The loss will not be too great, because no matter what, Jia Yan is a commander-in-chief who has just arrived at the forefront of the Zerg Queen's forces. His personal prestige cannot be established directly through a battle. It is impossible. It has reached the level of a black sheep, so even if you admit defeat, it is not an option that cannot be chosen. Pity. It would be shameful for a strong person to give in before reaching a certain level. Jia Yan, this performance alone is not enough. This explosion did not hurt me. If you want us to admit defeat, you should show more fighting power. The hairtail-like creature's brainwave power was restrained, and the flames in the surrounding explosion suddenly and strangely disappeared. There is not a trace of scar on his body, because the sparkling body surface of the hairtail fish has something like fish scales. If the explosion comes into contact with this kind of fish scales, it will be quickly blocked by the fish scales. Moreover, these fish scales are very slippery and hard. Most of them, if you push it up with force, it will slide to the side. No wonder he can become the commander-in-chief. With such a defensive power, it is indeed much stronger than the average mid-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy. Yes, Jia Yan, let's do this. If you have any other stronger fighting skills, let's see if you use them. If they are powerful, we might recognize your strength. Another commander at the top of the intermediate galaxy, he calmly avoided a meteorite attack. He had become accustomed to Jia Yan's subspace attack method. Oh? You two actually look down on my current methods. No wonder it's the commander-in-chief. This kind of little trick is really not what you think. Jia Yan was startled for a moment, then smiled. If he is adapting, won't others adapt? So if there is a fight, it is really unclear who will win and who will lose. But Jia Yan has exposed the huge exploding meteorite, and he must win this trial battle. Since your excellencies need me to prove something, I won't use any other means. I will show you these big guys. I hope there will be no casualties among you. Jia Yan didn't talk about anything else, because he didn't have any other methods, and even had a set of newly devised trump cards, but there was no need to reveal more, so he was just going to use what people saw now. The big guys he was talking about were giant meteorites that were suspended and flew about 2 degrees. There are more than a dozen meteorites that are 30 to 40 kilometers in size. Each one is too heavy and bulky. It would be a bit difficult for even Jia Yan to control more than a dozen meteorites flying in subspace, not to mention that he has to control so many. The small piece of meteorite is really a bit of a challenge for him. But that was the end of the challenge. He gave up the control power of a large number of small meteorites. Anyway, if he wanted to control it, he could regain control anytime and anywhere. What he was doing was just trying to control those large meteorites. These meteorites are a small trump card that he plans to use to make the other three people completely shut up and stop the current boring challenge and test. Jia Yan had already memorized meteorite explosives and was extremely skilled in using them. This kind of fighting technique that he came up with before is still one of his biggest trump cards even now, saving his life many times. Therefore, by using such fighting skills now, it can be said that it is a great honor for the three peak mid-level enemies of the galaxy. You think, my control of these meteorites must be very slow? Hey! Jia Yan gently used his subspace talent to create a hollow space like a gun barrel behind a giant meteorite with explosives. Next, this meteorite explosion, which was about 30 kilometers away, suddenly shone with astonishing energy in the second dimension. What? You want to attack in the second dimension? How is it possible? If we attack there, most of the power will be wasted inside the subspace, and it will be impossible to harm us at all. Come on, Jia Yan, I don't believe that the explosion you released at that depth can still pose a threat to us. Each of the three challengers to the mid-level peak of the galaxy did not believe that Jia Yan's explosives, which were still hidden in the two-dimensional subspace, could spread to the outer space. A large area of the first and third floors was blown to pieces. The impact on the outside world may not be as severe as that of small meteorite explosives. This is like having a barrier. Explosives inside the subspace will only cause maximum damage inside the subspace if they explode across the subspace. So they all ridiculed him, feeling that Jia Yan was a bit unreliable. Haha, do you all think so? That's good. Yin yin yin. In the subspace, the barrel has gradually taken shape. If you are a strong person with subspace talents, you will definitely be shocked to find that a passage-like gap starts from the third dimension and extends to the surface of the first dimension. The gun was pointed at the hairtail strong man, but he still didn't notice it. The giant meteorite explosive was like a soldier ready to go. It kept roaring, and even everyone in the outside world felt the shocking power of this force. They still don't think that no matter how powerful the meteorites that exploded from the second dimension are, how many will reach the normal universe outside. After all, they are separated by two dimensions and are too far away. Jia Yan, don't blow yourself up. The commander-in-chief of Hairtail was the most disdainful towards Jia Yan. He sneered and felt that this guy was just playing tricks. But he didn't know that Jia Yan was a person who was determined to take revenge, and if he could retaliate on the spot, he would do so on the spot. The first cannonball at this time was aimed at him. Hey, Your Excellency, I won't blow myself up, but you, please be careful, give me the first one. Fire! Bang! Inside the subspace, the hollow subspace gun barrel was like firing a cannon. The meteorite suddenly exploded, and then it itself became a warhead, flying out to the outside of the subspace in one breath. It was slow just now, like a huge meteorite that was difficult to control, but now it was as fast as lightning, heading straight towards the hairtail-like creature, bombing it in one breath. It was a terrifying cannonball. Such a 30 to 40 kilometer artillery shell, and it is bombed with positive and negative force. Even if a planet the size of the Earth is placed in front of you, it can be blown into pieces. This is the strongest attack mode that Jia Yan has mastered at the moment. No one. What? Depend on. Hide quickly. The expressions of the three peak middle-level experts in the galaxy changed drastically when faced with this attack coming from the subspace. This time, it really gave them a great shock, and facing this kind of power, even they understand that if they take a hit, they will definitely die. What else can you say? You must not be bombed. Especially the powerful commander who looked like a hairtail, looked a little desperate. Because he was the person being targeted, it would be strange not to be frightened at this time. Jia Yan. You are so good. Just do this move. The hair-tail creature twisted its long body repeatedly and evacuated to one side like lightning. Moreover, the surface of his body instantly secreted a strange fish oil-like substance and became extremely smooth. There is a rumor in the universe that if your lubrication reaches 100%, then your defense is invincible. No strong person can kill you, because their attacks will be slipped on you. Open. Of course, this is just a rumor. There is no such thing as 100% lubrication. Moreover, even if the lubrication is 100%, the enemy can still use brainwave power or other means to kill you. After all, the strong cannot, it's just a way of relying on physical means. Breaking updates, forget it for such a long book, bursting out, seems meaningless ha ha ha, limited exemption will start tomorrow. I have finished processing all the blocked chapters today. You can read the whole book at the starting point. Thanks for your support. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2154. But lubrication is still very helpful. This hairtail-like creature has this characteristic. His body can be said to be an extremely lubricated fish-like body. Puff. It's just that the meteorite explosion came too fast. Before the strong man could even escape halfway, it had already flown in front of him. Boom boom boom. Under Jia Yan's control, the huge meteorite, which was 30 kilometers upward, exploded beside the strong man without any surprise. This hairtail-like strong man screamed in an instant. Then he also used almost all his strength, his brainwave power, to forcefully repel the external explosive force, and then made the organs in his body work hard to expel more fish oil-like things. Sizzle. This is a confrontation between unique means and unique methods that surprises the outside world. Jia Yan used an unexpected meteorite explosion move, and this hairtail-like strongman used the fish oil ability of his racial talent. Countless explosive heat waves were lubricated by the fish oil when they reached the strong man's side, and even the super high temperatures that reached tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of degrees in an instant were isolated. But this isolation will not last long. Over time, he will definitely be seriously injured or even die. The explosion scope of this meteorite was a little too large, covering tens of thousands of kilometers in an instant, making it difficult for him to escape. Get me into the gravitational wave space. After resisting for a moment, this strong man slipped like a loach and entered a gravitational wave space that was very similar to the subspace system. Huh. Jia Yan, who was in the subspace, felt slightly startled when he felt the other party entering the gravitational wave. It is clear that the hairtail expert does not have the talent for subspace or gravitational waves, but he did not expect to be able to enter the gravitational wave space so comfortably. That's right. I also don't have the talent for gravitational waves, but I have entered the gravitational wave system several times. Even if he doesn't have the gravitational wave system, his strength has reached this level. It should be easy to enter the gravitational wave system, or even subspace. It's just that I am in the subspace home field, and he will definitely not dare to get involved easily. Jia Yan quickly sorted out these thoughts and was quite impressed. This is what a normal extremely strong person would do. He had encountered too many strong people who acted stupidly in battle before, which made Jia Yan think that he was the only one unique. That's not right. This is because the people I encountered before were either much weaker than me, or much stronger than me, or those from the Peace Star region who didn't fight very much, so their reactions were naturally stupid. Otherwise, this is the central star region of the galaxy, where would it be? There are so many fools. Jia Yan smiled, but his eyes became even sharper. He knew that even if this hairtail-like creature could not be seriously injured, it was definitely injured just now, and it would not be a minor injury. Next, if he still has the face, he will definitely not fight again. If he gets bombed again in the battle, his life will be in danger. Let's just say that he was injured like that. If he fights again, it will become a battle of life and death. The domain master creature above neither will be allowed. Then there are only two other enemies left. In fact, I just think this hairtail creature is the most difficult to deal with. Now that we use unexpected methods to drive him away from this battle, it should be a little easier for the remaining two. Jia Yan no longer looked at the hairtail creature, let alone the exploding meteorite, which shocked countless spectators around him. He just turned his gaze to the other side to avoid the aftermath of the battle. A strong man at the peak of the middle level of the two galaxies. Their faces were already extremely ugly. Because of the sound waves and shock waves caused by Jia Yan's meteorite bombardment, although they were not seriously injured at close range, they were still slightly affected. The point is that they understood that Jia Yan's trump card was it could really kill them. Although at a critical moment, they could imitate the hairtail creature and instantly enter subspace or the gravitational wave system to escape, but if Jia Yan is determined, there is a way to expose their prototypes, making it impossible for them to escape. Of course, these two mid-level peak creatures in the galaxy are not the kind to belittle themselves. They also believe that it is not difficult to defeat Jia Yan as long as they seize the opportunity. The point is, Jia Yan, a coward, has been hiding deep in the subspace, elusive, and they have little chance of even counter-attacking. He was reluctant to use his trump card, so he became much more passive. Jia Yan, this move should be one of your trump cards, right? I just don't know how useful it will be if you use this move on a formal battlefield. Especially if it is used in a battle that is not life and death, I know your trump card. The strong man with strong arms was comforted by another person at this time, and his mood calmed down a little. Then he spoke to Jia Yan in as calm an attitude as possible. Yes, he was using words to sway Jia Yan's fighting spirit again. Of course, it is impossible for ordinary hypocrisy to sway another strong man who is as powerful as them, so what he said is absolutely reasonable. Jia Yan used his trump card, and it was a trump card that was effective only because of surprise. If it continues to be exposed, and those who fight Jia Yan in the future will be prepared in advance, then the effect of Jia Yan's move will definitely be big discount. So what he said is very good, and the ultimate purpose of saying this is to make Jia Yan stop this kind of move. Even if it doesn't work, let Jia Yan consider it and stop using other fighting techniques. Because they are exposed more, Jia Yan's secrets are more guarded against. Among strong men of this level, everyone's trump card will be kept secret. When fighting, unless they are extremely confident, they will keep secrets. Try to avoid being seen by others, and it is best to reveal your killer move only when the enemy is likely to be killed. Thank you for your reminder. Let's do this. I won't use other moves. I will just use this move. How many of the remaining dozen cute bullets do you think you can catch? Haha, I don't mind. You too. Revealing some killer tricks to avoid my moves, the fish oil thing used by the chief hairtail commander must be one of his secret moves, right? It's not like I haven't gained anything. Jia Yan smiled, and then calmly threatened the two remaining mid-level peak warriors in the subspace. At this moment, far outside the battle circle, a strong hairtail-like man had just escaped from the gravitational wave system and flew to their own position. This attitude showed that he had indeed admitted defeat and was unwilling to fight again. Beat. Hearing Jia Yan say that his fish oil-like defense method was one of his secrets, the hairtail creature looked grim for a while. Because Jia Yan was right, this was his secret method. He had avoided countless crises with this defense method, and most of them, even if he escaped under the eyes of the enemy did not know what kind of defense he used. Unexpectedly, Jia Yan shouted out here. The hairtail creature stared at the subspace fiercely, as if it wanted to play again right away and fight Jia Yan for 300 rounds. But he didn't do it after all. Because Jia Yan's methods are so shameless, although he is sure that he can defeat the opponent a few times, and even have a chance of victory, the chance is really small, and it is more likely to expose more killer tricks. Instead of doing it again when the time comes, if you are humiliated, you might as well endure it now. Endure the calm for a while. He endured it, but the two middle-level peak creatures on the other side did not. The other commander-in-chief creature is similar to the hairtail creature and can be considered a real city. His expression does not fluctuate much, but he directly uses hands-on methods to express his meaning. This commander-in-chief, his body is like a roundworm, extremely disgusting, but he has an even more disgusting trick, which is to spit out some kind of liquid from his mouth, and when he sprays it, a large area of the universe will be sprayed. This liquid would even soak into the subspace, surge into the subspace in an instant, and then transform the large subspace in front of him into a space with silk threads. I don't know what these threads are made of, but they feel a bit sticky at first glance. Jia Yan, your moves are amazing, but we are not too bad. If you have the ability, try again. This tapeworm-like creature spoke calmly. That's right, don't think that if I get injured, I will lose my fighting ability. Look, isn't the injury healed? The middle-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy with strong arms was also punching each other, and after touching each other, his fists were intact. Boom! Jia Yan responded to the two of them that there was another meteorite explosive, and it was the kind that was 30 kilometers upward. Suddenly, it was ejected from the barrel inside the subspace, and it arrived in an instant. In front of the roundworm creature. It's just that in the subspace, there are liquid threads sprayed out by roundworm creatures everywhere. Puff! These silk threads were overwhelming, blocking the huge meteorite in an instant. Surprisingly, the meteorite shot quickly in front of these silk threads that did not seem to have much power, and was actually delayed for an instant. Puff puff puff. But the explosives still had a huge push, and even if they were a little slower, they still broke through the obstruction of the silk threads one after another, and then rushed out of the normal universe. The power is so great, even my racial talent can't stop it. The roundworm creature had a serious expression on its face and once again sprayed out a larger amount of liquid from its mouth parts, while its body looked back and retreated wildly. Because he knew that the next step was not the time to see if the meteorite could be blocked with silk thread, but the time for the meteorite to explode. Sure enough, when the giant meteorite rushed out of the normal space, Jia Yan suddenly triggered the positive and negative forces inside the meteorite. A trace of balance was broken, and the large bomb that had long been transformed into a positive and negative meteorite went straight. Exploded with a bang. Boom. Puff puff puff. The roundworm creature had already known that such an attack would happen. While retreating wildly, it spurted out pieces of liquid. The sections of his body, including those closest to the head, shriveled up in an instant. It goes without saying that this is definitely one of his killer moves. But even this was not enough to stop the earth-shattering explosion. In the starry sky where the second explosion occurred, burning and shining light appeared again. Planets hundreds of millions of kilometers away may soon feel the dazzling light that is brighter than ordinary stars, and there may even be terrifying radiation radiating through it. Amidst the power of the explosion, there was something very strange that blocked the power of the explosion for a moment. It turns out that these are the liquid barrier lines created by the roundworm organisms. Boom boom puff puff. The earth-shattering explosion was partially blocked here. From the outside, it looked like a sun was missing a corner. Fortunately, the subsequent explosions made up for that corner and gradually filled it up. It's just that the roundworm creature finally flew tens of thousands of kilometers, and its body was burned a little. Overall, the damage was not serious. The creature with strong arms on the other end is not so comfortable. Probably at his level, his weakness is that he has fewer trump cards than those at the commander level, and he doesn't want to use his trump cards, so he can only raise his arms to become stronger. The arms are used for frontal defense to deal with such explosions. Puff 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 puff. The bones were ringing wildly, and the brainwave power was rushing to the arm bones like no money. Even in this situation, he was frantically balancing his injury and the brainwave power, preparing to recover from the injury and the balance in the future. Brainwave power takes time, so try to achieve a balance, otherwise the injury will be too serious, or the brainwave power will be consumed too much, and it is not good to waste time on either side. Blood spurted out, and when he retreated to the edge of the explosion, his whole body was covered in blood, and he was in a miserable state. Why is the power of this explosion so powerful? This mid-level peak powerhouse in the galaxy with strong arms had a ferocious expression, because he felt that the explosion this time was twice as powerful as the previous one that injured the hairtail creature, otherwise he would not have been injured to such an extent. He's fine now. Whether it's the injury or the level of consumption of his brainwave power, he's quite dissatisfied, and he's going to have to recuperate for a while. He may not be able to participate in this battle to drive out the Zerg Queen in the future. You must know that for the strong men at the top of their mid-level galaxy, this battle is definitely a way to gain combat experience, earn benefits, and improve their skills. The powerful Domain Lord had a good time in his mind, but he didn't expect to end up here without success, which was a big blow to him. After all, the force he belongs to is different from the Zerg Queen's force, which only has 4 mid-level peak powerhouses in the galaxy. There are many powerhouses in the middle-level peaks of the galaxy competing with him. So he hated why this explosion was twice as terrifying as the 30-kilometer level meteorite explosion just now. What's the principle? It's very simple. I just detonated 2 bombs at the same time. You can't see it? When the first one flew out, there was another one behind it. How about it? I showed you a new trump card. By the way, do you want to try 3 or even 4 at the same time? Jia Yan chuckled softly in the subspace. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website.